Chapter 681. The lab is actually there. Monkey, never thought we'd be able to sit face to face one day. Drink spirits, eat barbecue, and talk candidly. I think it would be better if you could change me back. The fleet stopped in the windless zone, and Andre asked Sati-chan and Domino to prepare food and drinks to serve Kizaru. Kizaru, who has turned into a toy monkey, is clearly not happy with the hospitality. Monkey, I can roughly guess what you're thinking. Of course, I don't deny that if you restore your original appearance, you may escape from here. Andre said, took a sip of wine and smiled. He asked back, but since I know you will escape, why should I give you a chance? Tell me, what do you want from me? Kizaru also knew that Andre wouldn't let him go so easily, but he believed that Andre wouldn't kill him. At least he felt it. Andre didn't want to, let alone do this. Monkey, I always thought you were the most current person in Marine, and sure enough, you didn't disappoint me. If it's a compliment, am I supposed to say thank you? Haha tilde. Andre chuckled, then said to Kizaru, I want to know where Vegapunk is. You want to kill him? Kizaru asked. Well, you're very smart, and that's why I like talking to smart people. Some things, just reveal a little bit, and you smart people can think of what's going to happen later. Andre didn't deny it either. What if I said, you can't kill Vegapunk? If you don't do it, how do you know if it will succeed? Since you're going to hit a wall, I can naturally tell you, but after I'm done, you're going to restore me to the way I was. No problem, tyrants keep their promises. Domino, Sati-chan and others could hear the conversation between Andre and Kizaru clearly, but they didn't expect that Kizaru is such a person with no bottom limit. Andre didn't even torture him, he managed to get it from him answer. However, this does not mean that Kizaru has no bottom line. On the contrary, he has been sticking to his bottom line, that is, in everything he does, his own life safety is the first priority, followed by his position in Marine. In exchange for the safety of Saint Clarence, this can be grateful to Saint Julof, which can be promoted in his future career, at least he will not be abolished. Even if the leak is exposed, nothing will happen if there is a relationship with Saint Julof. Is this laboratory really going to be there? Boss, isn't that monkey playing tricks on us? Harold and Lu Yu had solemn expressions on their faces. In fact, the laboratory that Kizaru explained is on the 5.5th floor of Impel Down, which is in the new Shemale paradise of the original book. However, because of Andre, the times have changed dramatically. The Shemale King Ivankov has been helping Dragon to make a revolution in South Blue, so he did not come in and go to jail, so this area has become the most hidden laboratory of Vegapunk. And having the lab here also has the benefit of having a large number of powerful criminals available for experiments. Andre, have you figured it out? The price of a strong attack is heavy. You should have tried this. Besides, you are a human, not a god. A person's physical strength is limited. Even if you can attack alone, you may not get out. Come on. And have you heard of artificial devil fruits? To guard the laboratory, there are more than 100 jailer beasts alone, not to mention, in addition to the jailer beasts, there are 50 peacekeepers, and some I don't know. Secret weapon. Kizaru smiled smugly. For Vegapunk, Kizaru can't speak of disgust, but the experiments he conducted were indeed inhumane, so admiration for him was even more impossible. However, the world government and world aristocrats have high expectations for his experimental results, hoping that his research results can clear up chaos and rebels around the world. Boss, what the monkey said is right. We only have 5 teams of troops now. If we want to attack, we have to gather everyone. Lu Yu reminded in a low voice. He was also worried that Andre would make a one-man impel attack. Down thing. Although he has no doubts about the strength of his boss, if it is as the monkey said, no matter how strong the boss is, he will be consumed to death in it. Let me think about it. Andre felt that Kizaru's words were more credible, but he just asked him to give up and let Vegapunk comfortably engage in black technology that disrupted the balance in Impel Down, which is absolutely intolerable. However, it is too difficult to capture Impel Down. Although it was defeated at the beginning, how many elites were killed and injured? Therefore, even if you want to fight this time, you can't be reckless. After all, the old thieves in this show are all treasures, and they can't stand such consumption. After some thought, Andre didn't choose to attack, but he didn't plan to let Kizaru go. After rehabilitating Kizaru and putting Seastone in handcuffs, Andre ordered the entire ship to temporarily return to the New World. As for the plan to attack Impel Down, destroy the laboratory, and get rid of Vegapunk, the only way is to hold a meeting of the Pirate League and let Charlotte Linlin, Shanks and others come out. When Andre returned to the New World, he went straight to the Darborn Islands. As a dedicated island for the Pirate Alliance, the Darborn Islands are naturally a place for countless newcomers to visit and register first. Therefore, when the battleships of the Zero Squadron were moored in the Darborn Islands, they attracted countless newcomers to watch. Look, that's the Tyrant. And Harold. Feng Moluyu is also there. Wow, so many battleships, that's really cool, if only I had one like that. Wipe your saliva, don't dream, it's a symbol of a big pirate, just don't think about it if you can't even get a reward of 100 million Bailey. Damn, are you embarrassed to talk about me? Don't you only have 120 million Bailey? The bounty of pirates has always been an important way for new pirates to compare with each other. Even Andre was not exempt when he first debuted. Watching them talk about their bounty, Andre couldn't help but feel that time was fleeting, and he had changed from a young man to a rich man. Go and tell them that Lao Su is going to hold a conference on the main island, and all the trash fish will get out. With Andre's order, more than 1,600 people from Team Zero pulled out their guns and scared away these cute newcomers. Chapter 682 Union Meeting. The Pirate Alliance established on the Darborn Archipelago seems to have only held one meeting of Ho Girl, and then built the statue of the legendary pirate and hung hundreds of pirate flags for the new pirates to pay their respects. In addition, the only office is the new pirate group responsible for daily processing and reviewing applications to join the Pirate Alliance. Therefore, over time, this holy place in the eyes of the pirates is just a slightly more beautiful decoration in the eyes of the slightly older pirates. After all, the pirates with some seniority will not panic and deliberately come to pay their respects to the statues of Andre, Whitebeard, Burndy-Wald, and Earl of Red. However, what was the purpose of establishing the Pirate Alliance in Darborn? I believe that whether it is a newbie or an old thief at sea, the answer will be answered immediately, that is, to unite against the invasion of the outside world. The outside world here refers to any force outside the New World. These include World Government, West Blue Kansas, South Blue Revolutionary Army, and more. Therefore, Andre waved the flag in Darbanel, and the pirates of the New World would gather to respond. It's going to be a fight. The pirate groups on various islands in the New World have received news. Go to Darbanel. Cake Island, Charlotte Linlin ordered her children to board the boat before she even finished her dessert. Go to Darbanel. Shanks was still exploring in a world covered by snow and ice. After getting the news, he immediately split the ice peak with his sword and left with his subordinates. Go to Darborn. Alkalan Bay, the Whitebeard pirates assembled at the fastest speed. Although the flagship was still the Moby Dick like a white whale, Marco, Jozu, Thatch, and Vista have replaced 4 new warships. Burndy-Wald and the Earl of Red also received the notice and went to Darbanel. The big pirates have all moved, and other forces are naturally not exempt. As a younger brother under the name of Andre, Tessero naturally took the opportunity to join in the fun. After all, the scene of the pirates from the whole New World getting together for a meeting was even more rare than attending a meeting of the World Government Organization. Within a week, the major forces of the New World have rushed to Dabanar one after another, and the number of pirate ships has become overwhelming. As the initiator of the meeting, Andre naturally sent someone to maintain order. Team Zero and the Whitebeard pirates have knives in their hands, their guns are loaded, they are fierce and murderous, and they make the order surprisingly good. This was a surprise to Kizaru's peer. According to the order in which they were registered on the island, they received the plaques, and they were seated according to their numbers. Whoever dared to jump in the queue, I slashed him with a sword. Harold carried his sword and glared at the heads of the islanders with a grim look on his face. Of course, these are the bosses of small and medium-sized groups, and they are not on the same level as the four emperors, let alone compared with Team Zero. Therefore, they can only make promises in front of Harold and dare not have any complaints. Everyone is here, Andre asked Violet behind him. Violet was temporarily acting as a secretary. At this time, she looked at the whole island with clairvoyance, and then nodded, "Boss, we're all here." "Well, that can start." Andre stood up, cleared his throat first, and then said to Mike Fung, "I think everyone is very curious, what will I suddenly call an alliance meeting?" Venue was very quiet, all waiting for Andre's next words. Everyone must have seen the shipbuilding capabilities of the world government. The huge fleet of the world's nobles has packed up the mighty West Blue overlord Lucas Bolsky. When Andre said here, someone brought Kizaru out. Kizaru was now leaning against the seastone handcuffs, yawning listlessly. God, isn't that Admiral Kizaru? Yeah, he was actually caught by the tyrant. Boss Andre, please kill him. Kill this bastard, he killed a whole boatload of brothers before me. Kizaru's appearance immediately caused a riot. It seems that Kizaru did kill a lot of pirates. Shut up. Andre waved his hand, and the venue immediately fell silent. A few days ago, I just came back from Sabayati Archipelago, and I caught the monkey by the way. From his mouth, I forced me to find out where the world government is building the latest warships. Therefore, for the sake of the blue and free sea, we will use these docks. Destroy them all, catch those boatmen by the way, and this time, I will give you 30% of the people and property you grab. Andre's words obviously stimulated everyone in the venue. After all, this is a big battle of unified action, not only to blow up the docks, plunder the boatmen, but also the islands that pass by along the way. Think about it, even if only 30% of the wealth on those islands is divided, that is a very impressive figure. 30%, would it be too much? Charlotte Linlin was a little unhappy. Although she was the fourth emperor, women were still more sensitive to money. And in his opinion, there is no need for these small and medium-sized groups to join in the fun, as long as the 4 emperors and 1 emperor are enough to make a scene in the new world. When did Andre suffer? He would say that, there must be his reasons. Shanks said something pertinent. Since you are all excited, then go and gather your minions. After half a month, gather on Fish Man Island. After Andre finished speaking, he waved the meeting to end, but he left Charlotte Linlin, Shanks and others behind. The Earl of Red and Burndeewald knew very well that Andre was going to talk about it. Kaido is expected to travel for a few months, so he is not needed for this meeting. Andre finished, unfolded the chart, and pointed his finger at Impel Down. Our goal this time is Impel Down. Here is a head that I want. As for the other prisoners, if you are interested, you can take them away. Quote. Impel Down. Charlotte Linlin was obviously not happy or interested. Why hit Impel Down? Shanks asked suspiciously. The giant soldier plan, the bloodline fusion plan, the humanoid weapon, the artificial devil fruit, the 5.5th floor here is the core of all the experiments of the Marine Science Force, so it must be destroyed, otherwise, in a few years, the whole new world will change. It is a piece of scorched earth, and we are not immune to it. As for whether what I said is alarmist, you can decide for yourself. Quote. After Andre finished speaking, he leaned back in his chair and waited for everyone in the room to express their opinions. Chapter 683 Marine was stunned. No one in the room could tell if Andre's words were alarmist. But Whitebeard naturally supported Andre, so he agreed to attack Impel Down. Subsequently, the Earl of Chiji and Burndeewald also expressed their agreement one after another. Shanks and Charlotte Linlin had no choice. Both of them knew that, in fact, in this meeting, they did not have the right to vote, only the right to listen. Because Andre's side has 4 votes, even if the 2 of them are against it, it will not change the result. With the end of the Darbanelle meeting, the New World pirates came out of their nests like ants and quickly gathered towards Fishman Island. How many pirates are there in the New World? Andre has never thought about this issue, and the world government has not counted it. However, when the pirates of the New World, like bees and ants, kept passing through the giant hole under the red soil continent and surface to the surface, the world government and the world nobles realized that the pirates of the New World had reached an extremely terrifying place. Quantity. Although most of these pirates are just wooden 3-masted battleships, these old-fashioned pirate ships can't even hold Marine's 2 shells, but when these old-fashioned warships cover the entire sea, the visual impact is absolutely amazing. Unimaginable. 1,000 ships. Or 2,000. It's not that Marine doesn't want to count, but it's too late, because batches of pirate ships are pouring out again. The troubled times lasted for 20 years. Although the New World has experienced the survival of the fittest, fresh pirate blood pours into the New World every day. The number of pirates has increased rapidly over the years, far exceeding what Roger wanted to create. The era of the great pirates. In the past, these pirates were fighting each other in the New World, fighting for territory, but today, under the leadership of the 2 uncrowned kings, Whitebeard and Andre, they smashed out of the New World mightily. Little ones, follow me to make a big fuss. Tyrant. 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 At this moment, the black pirate flag rang in the wind, and the pirates under the flag held high swords and guns, and then shouted the name of the tyrant. This deafening, roaring shout that pierced into the sky was stepping up the stairs made of bones, marching on the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, and with the notoriety accumulated over the past 20 years, it finally reached the peak of the villainous party, and received the sincere heart of many pirates. Approved performance. Ha 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 tilde. Andre's wild laughter echoed recklessly, as if provoking Marine. Sengoku frowned as he saw Andre standing on the flagship, pulling out the saber from his waist. Andre, are you crazy? Are you going to take the pirates and fight Marine? Sengoku didn't understand. He didn't know why Andre suddenly burst out of the New World, because it obviously didn't fit Andre's layout. And Andre is not clear. Pirates and Marine are at an absolute disadvantage in the frontal naval battle. Marine with a strong ship and a sharp gun is like an adult with a sword and a child with a wooden stick when facing a wooden sail-powered warship. It is difficult to lose. Little ones, let's make a fuss. Andre waved his knife suddenly, and then his fleet was divided into three directions. After Team Zero took the lead in the assault, the 3 main forces of the Whitebeard Children's 2nd Regiment, the BIGMOM pirates, and the red-haired pirates also rushed forward. Brainless charge. There are no rules to speak of. Sengoku frowned, confused by Andre's messy tactics. Because he has played against Andre so many times, Sengoku knows that Andre likes to win with his pawns. Andre, what exactly are you doing? Sengoku didn't know why, so he could only order the entire ship to form an inverted triangular formation to meet the incoming pirates. Don't be wary, little ones. After breaking through Marine's line, go straight to the dock, and then pass by unscrupulously. Shouted a pirate with a long brown beard on a pirate ship. Ho, ho, ho. The cry of the brown-bearded pirate immediately aroused the cheers of the pirates under his command. Because as long as it rushes through Marine's formation, it will be able to loot wealth and beauties. Marshal, the target of these pirates may be our dock. A Marine vice admiral who was fighting the pirates on the front line immediately conveyed the information obtained on the front line to Sengoku. Is it really just a dock? The news of destroying the dock and plundering the paradise has long been passed on to the Marine headquarters through the agents, so the Marine headquarters can calmly organize the formation and put on a posture to wait for the pirates. However, Sengoku still couldn't believe that Andre was so reckless in breaking out of the New World. He just destroyed the world government's dock at any cost. Marshal, the breakthrough ability of the electricity control squad of the Zero Division is too strong. They have torn a hole, and the follow-up pirates have already got out of the hole. Do you want to pursue it? Fujitora hurriedly asked Sengoku. Marshal, my formation was also torn apart by Team Zero, and now dozens of ships have slipped through. There was also bad news from Ryokugyu. The bad news came one after another, and Sengoku had to send a reserved fleet to support, and at the same time, a part of the fleet was sent to chase, and an order was issued to catch these slipping fish. However, pirates are different from warlords and rebels. They have no discipline at all, not to mention that they can gather as quickly as possible after they are dispersed. Therefore, those pirate ships that rushed out of Marine's blockade immediately dispersed and fled after seeing Marine chasing. This move is to break the whole into pieces, and it is a very crucial move in Andre's plan. After Sengoku learned that the pirates were scattered, he suddenly felt a sense of dizziness in his head. After all, letting the pirates in the New World flee into the paradise is like a mouse falling into a rice jar, and the degree of harm is only high and not low. Ask the world government for help, Sengoku said helplessly, because Marine's warships are limited. If face-to-face, naval-gun-to-naval gun battle, then even if there is zero team present, the pirates will not be able to defeat Marine. But Andre saw this early, so he used his own fleet to open the gap, and then quietly put mice in the gap, so that the disadvantage of the small number of Marine warships was fully exposed. Boss, everything is going according to your plan. At this time, Harold picked up the phone bug and reported the battle to Andre. At this time, Andre, who was on the flagship, was still coldly holding a sword, and there was no phone bug in his hand. Chapter 684 Minimal Loss for Victory. Obviously, it's not Andre who's on the flagship at the moment. So where did Andre go? When Marine was exhausted and wanted to deal with the pirates who had fled into the paradise from the New World, Andre had already taken the Arc Proverbs to the sky above Impel Down. Enel and his Thor team, in the Arc Proverbs, the other people can be called the peak powerhouses of this era. They are Charlotte Linlin, Shanks, Berndi Wald, and Earl Red. Without sending extra elites to follow, Andre has long planned to exchange the smallest loss for the largest victory. Of course, Andre's planned losses didn't include those pirates who couldn't wait to plunder the island. In his eyes, those mice that got into the rice vat were just cannon fodder. Quick decision. As for how many people you want to take away, that's your own business. After Andre finished explaining, he jumped off the side of the Arc Proverbs first. Earl Red, Berndi Wald followed, Charlotte Linlin and Shanks jumped down. When Andre was at the top of Impel Down, Marine guarded outside Impel Down's mouths were big enough to fit 3 eggs in surprise. And when the Earl of Red and Berndi Wald appeared later, those Marines all had black eyes and fainted. If you don't want to die, just jump into the sea. As soon as Andre finished speaking, there was a gunshot behind him, and when Berndi Wald raised his gun, he shot and killed the sailors who were blocking the front, showing no mercy. Old man, save some bullets, you won't be able to use them later. Andre rolled a glance at Berndi Wald. Ha 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 tilde tilde tilde. Berndi Wald laughed for a while, then pulled out the knife, magnified the knife in his hand 100 times, and instantly split a big hole on the roof. This will be faster. That's right, Andre said, and jumped down the slit. Seeing his boss and several legends easily enter Impel Down, Enel's priests and soldiers were stunned. Recalling that when Team Zero attacked Impel Down, it paid a lot of money at that time. However, this time was different from the past. Marine's large army was successfully contained, and the reinforcements from the world government did not know when they would be able to leave. Therefore, in Impel Down, only the prison guards were left. Therefore, under the strong breakthrough of the 5 rogues headed by Andre, they are simply vulnerable. What did you say? Andre attacked Impel Down again. Yes, Marshal, please help us quickly. Director Magellan, please persevere, I will send someone to support you immediately. After Sengoku finished speaking, he had to arrange a fleet to help Impel Down. However, he soon found himself falling into the trap that Andre dug, and for a short while, he couldn't get out. Because the fleet reserved by Marine is now chasing the fish that slipped through the net, and his main force is still in the confrontation with Whitebeard. If he rushes to help impel down, the defense line will be broken at any time, and more pirates will be unbridled intrusions, plundering islands, and destroying shipyards would be a disaster. Damn, it was still put together by Andre. But who is that guy? Sengoku picked up the binoculars and looked at Andre on the flagship. Who has been following Sengoku's dynamic, naturally also sees Sengoku's actions. So Violet said to Andre, beside him, Mr. 2, give Sengoku a flying when. This instruction was given by Andre to Violet, and the purpose of doing so was purely to disgust Sengoku. And since Mr. 2 Von Rek was borrowed by Andre, he never planned to return it to Shaw Crocodile. And Andre also got his gratitude for introducing him to the Demon King Ivankov, and was willing to stay in the assassination team formed by Andre. Sure enough, when Andre made a flying motion towards him, Sengoku's blood pressure suddenly jumped up. This bastard! Sengoku gritted his teeth with hatred, and in a rage, smashed the barrel of the gun beside him with one punch. Marshal, what should we do now? Should we continue the confrontation, or should we divide our troops to help? A staff officer asked cautiously. Sengoku didn't answer, because he didn't know that the world government was hiding from him and carrying out various inhumane experiments in Impel Down. It was difficult for him to decide whether to rescue Impel Down or stick to the defensive line. But Sengoku is very clear that Whitebeard is standing there majestic, already telling him, I haven't shot yet. Whitebeard, Andre, Sengoku muttered, and now he regrets sending Garp and air conditioners to assist the government army and destroy the Revolutionary Army in South Blue. If there are Garp and Kong now, then at least in the top combat power, it will not be so disparate. Such a senseless confrontation simply shames justice. Akainu was furious, and he was determined to mobilize his special commando team, ready to break the pirates' front in one fell swoop, while killing Whitebeard with his own hands. Akainu broke out of formation and charged towards Whitebeard's Moby Dick with murderous intent. Fire! Fire! Andre can play out of the way, and Akainu can also act without following Sengoku's orders. Therefore, Andre had long anticipated this, and after the raid on Impel Down, he escorted all the new warships around the Moby Dick. The naval guns fired salvos, and the smoke seemed to blacken the white clouds in the sky. The shells hit the battleships of the Akainu Division. The Akainu Division also counterattacked, hitting a large number of the pirates' battleships. The two sides were shelling each other, hurting each other. Akainu, come back immediately, this is an order. Sengoku couldn't stand Akainu's disobedience on the battlefield, but now he had no time to pursue it, because with the attack of Akainu's troops, Marine's formation was messed up, and the formation that had gathered together to block the channel with the Iron Chain formation revealed a big gap. After observing all this, Lu Yu told Whitebeard, "Children, teach the Marines a lesson. Except for the 16 squadrons that stayed behind, the other subsidiary fleets and the subsidiary fleets of the Zero Squad immediately moved in the direction of the gap. And the pirates who followed to get cheap, naturally followed forward." Akainu! Sengoku shouted Akainu's name in rage. Still, Akainu remained unmoved. He felt he had a winning hand, provided he got close to the Moby Dick. Sure enough, when Akainu reached a certain distance, he ordered the peacekeepers to dispatch, and with him, they blasted Whitebeard and the Moby Dick into the sea with a giant fist of magma. Chapter 685 The Consequences of Being Provoked. How strong is Whitebeard at its peak? Akainu has never experienced it, but he feels that even if Whitebeard is strong, he is still human. If it is human, it will have weaknesses and will be killed. Great Major Eruption. When there was still 500 meters away from the Moby Dick, Akainu's arms became elemental, and the boiling magma fist slammed into Whitebeard on the bow with great force. At the same time, the nearby peace defenders also punched at the same time. Although they're copycats, Great Major Eruption was not as powerful as Akainu's original great major eruption. The magma punches blasted by a dozen people at the same time still caused strong visual impact. Kola lala tilde tilde tilde. Whitebeard faced the giant magma fist that came, with a calm smile on his face. Since the immortality surgery, after the long-term dark wounds on his body have been removed, he can use it as he likes again. Own strength. Between the lightning and flint, just as the giant magma fist was about to fall, he saw Whitebeard swing his naginata in an instant. This sword that has followed Whitebeard for decades is definitely not an ornament. Shock knife slash. The naginata swung, and under the lock of observation haki, the blade air was vertical and horizontal, wrapped in the power of the air shock, and the magma fist was easily blasted away. At the same time, under the defense of Whitebeard's own armament haki, the splashed magma was even more didn't hurt him in the slightest. What? The veins on Akainu's forehead wiggled, and Vivi's pupils shrank, obviously unwilling to believe the scene in front of him. Kula lala tilde tilde tilde, do you want to come and try it? Whitebeard grinned. This smile was naturally satisfying. He was very satisfied with his current state, and he was able to control his body freely and use the power of the shaking fruit. Whitebeard, don't be too happy. For the sake of absolute justice, I must kill you today. Akainu scowled, and after he said something cruel, he let out a loud drink, and then Akainu's body began to change. After a while, Akainu's eyes became scarlet, and two sharp fangs were exposed in his mouth. His skin gradually turned purple, and his red suit was quickly bulged by his swollen muscles. Burst. At this time, Akainu's body was obviously enlarged a lot. Although he was still not as tall as Whitebeard, he was already more than 6 meters tall, and his personal aura had skyrocketed unprecedentedly, like a world-destroying beast crawling out of purgatory. Is this the human body gigantic and blood fusion experiment? Whitebeard's face showed a bit of solemnity. He could feel the change in Akainu's current momentum, and the improvement in strength brought about by it was definitely not as simple as increasing the combat power several times. Ah! The thunder roared like a beast. Akainu stomped on the deck with one foot, and immediately collapsed the deck of the warship, but he didn't care, because at this time he had already vacated and rushed towards Whitebeard with moon step. For absolute justice. Meteor volcano. Akainu was high in the sky and slammed into thousands of giant magma fists. Naturally, the target of the blow was a group of pirate ships including the Moby Dick. Thousands of giant magma fists really painted meteorites, piercing the sky and shooting down continuously. Stop it. I will resist Haki's full strength. Help, I don't want to die. The pirates present immediately gathered armament Haki and prepared to resist the bombardment of the magma fist. However, the power of this punch was too strong, and most of the pirates with poor Haki, even people in boats, were blasted into the sea by Akainu. On the other hand, in the vicinity of the Moby Dick, Team Zero and the Whitebeard pirates were not bad. It was just that the ship was damaged and caught on fire, but it did not cause too many casualties. But even so, Akainu's current combat power is not far from the peak. Sengoku frowned, and Akainu's sudden burst of power exceeded his expectations. Although he was still angry that Akainu disobeyed his orders, but now Akainu's strength has restored Marine's decline. This battle can be won. When Sengoku just thought of this, he heard an angry roar of, "Ah!" I saw the cape on Whitebeard swelled without wind, and the black turban on his head fell off. At this time, Whitebeard's eyes were full of killing intent. Sengoku had seen this kind of look once before, and he knew that Whitebeard was really angry. Because of the bombardment of Akainu's meteor volcano just now, a ship attached to the pirate group was hit, and the children on the ship were swallowed by lava and flames. Boom! Naginata slammed heavily on the deck. At this time, Whitebeard clenched his hands into claws and began to tear the surrounding space. Click, click, click tilde 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 like the sound of glass breaking, the space is shaking violently. The ability to shake the fruit, it has the terrifying power to destroy the world. Shock tsunami. After the body's dark wounds are removed, Whitebeard can bear the load brought by the shock fruit, so the tsunami that is urged with all his strength, in the eyes of Sengoku and others, can really be described as the end of the world. The warship capsized in the raging waves, and the sailors cried helplessly after falling into the sea. At the moment when Whitebeard pushed the tsunami, Akainu was already leaning down and rushing down. His only purpose was to take off Whitebeard's head. However, Whitebeard suddenly made a fist with his left hand, and a white spear halo appeared on his left fist. Dog-biting Crimson Lotus. Akainu's right arm turned into a dog-shaped lava and slammed into Whitebeard's head, intending to smash Whitebeard's head with one blow. Other hand, Whitebeard, at the moment Akainu shot, punched him violently. Shattered air shatter. Fist claw fight. Boom. The crash was as loud as a bell. Whitebeard, go to hell. Akainu landed on the Moby Dick and launched a fierce attack. However, looking at Whitebeard, there is no fear at all, and his strength and speed are faster than Akainu. Bang 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 tilde 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 the blow to the flesh, the wounds on Akainu's body are increasing at an extremely fast rate. However, Akainu became more and more brave and did not care about his own injuries. It must be a quick fight. The changes in Akainu's body naturally couldn't escape Whitebeard's induction, so he didn't want to waste time, and prepared to bombard Akainu with all his strength. And Akainu seems to have found Whitebeard's intentions in general. The two were on the Moby Dick, each urging their full strength. Boom! There was a loud bang, and there was splashing magma all around, and the Moby Dick also caught fire and smoked. However, in the thick smoke and flames, I saw Whitebeard standing still, while Akainu flew upside down. After going crazy, the 6-meter-high body lost control and fell directly into the sea hundreds of meters away. Hiss tilde 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 in the whole sea, both pirates and marine took a deep breath. Although they knew that Whitebeard was called the strongest man in the world, that power was too terrifying. Chapter 686 Magellan's Desperate Blocking. Sengoku didn't want to have a conflict with Whitebeard, so not long after Akainu was blasted into the sea, he had the idea of retreating. At this time, the order of the world government also came, asking Sengoku to immediately rescue Impel Down. Immediate rescue of Impel Down. Sengoku didn't understand why the world government would issue such an order. At least in Sengoku's view, Impel Down would have been breached by Andre's people long ago. After all, 5 people are a super strong lineup. Impel Down, which has been breached, it is better to guard the sea and prevent pirates from ravaging. However, the Gorosei 5 elders didn't give Sengoku a chance to ask more. They only asked Sengoku to go support Impel Down now, right away. What the hell happened to Impel Down? Although Sengoku couldn't figure out the situation, the withdrawal order he issued later still gave many sailors a feeling of escaping from death. At this moment, Impel Down is a different scene. The Jailer Beast, the Blue Gorilla Army, the Demon Army. These local guards in Impel Down were all wiped out under the strong breakthrough of the 5 strong men led by Andre. However, there is one thing that is confusing. That is Andre repeatedly wandering between the 5 layers of extreme cold hell and the 6th layer of infinite hell, as if looking for something. Andre, what are you doing? Charlotte Linlin lowered her face and became impatient. She came here because Andre said that there is a terrible laboratory that threatens pirates to rule the new world. At the same time, she also wanted to fish in troubled waters and take away the results of the experiment of gigantic human body. Charlotte Linlin, I know what I'm doing, so please shut up. Andre turned around and glared at Charlotte Linlin. Charlotte Linlin snorted and stopped squeaking. Andre, although the 5 of us can easily break through the defense here, I don't think we should stay here for too long. The Earl of Chiji also spoke at this time. Although he couldn't tell the reason, as time passed, he could feel a sense of unease, and this feeling of unease became more and more obvious. I understand, but let me think about it. Andre didn't really look at how Luffy got to the new Ladyboy paradise at first. He only had a vague impression that near the Arctic Hell, Luffy was rescued by Ivankov's men. Don't quarrel with him, let him think about it alone. Shanks also spoke at this time. Andre, are you sure you're here? Then just split the snow, won't everything be clear? After Brindewald finished speaking, he raised his knife and prepared to wreak havoc in the Arctic hell. However, at this moment, thousands of rocket missiles rained down. Boom 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 boom. Under the continuous bombardment, it is fortunate that the armament hockey of Andre's 5 people are all high enough, otherwise they would have to be bombarded into the sky. Keep shooting. Magellan commanded the battle with a livid face. With his observation hockey perception, he knew that the 5 Andre were not dead. Magellan, do you think this tickling attack can change anything? A scarlet shadow passed by, and then an entire row of soldiers fell to the ground clutching their necks. A sword seals the throat. So fast, so ruthless. Magellan looked at the Earl of Red, and then waved his hand, signaling the troops behind him to take out the seastone net gun. Let it go. Bang bang bang. Nets inlaid with seastone shot out, trying to wrap the Earl of Kai. Naive. Count Chiji showed a playful smile on his face. Vampires are known for their ghostly speed, so the nets shot by seastone's net guns are too slow. What? With a scream of screams, the men behind Magellan were brutally murdered. At this time, the Earl of Kai sighed at the blood beads on Tien's blade and looked at Magellan with a cruel face. Don't worry, I won't drink your heart. The great soldier of poison, judgment of hell. Knowing how terrifying the strength of his opponent is, Magellan had no fluke plan. As soon as he shot, he used his strongest trick. The bright red poison released from the body constitutes a skeleton-shaped giant, and any substance that comes into contact with it will be infected and gradually spread and erode everything. As long as a person touches the poison, it will gradually spread until death. This is the strongest poison I specially made. If you touch a little, you will surely die. Magellan ruthlessly, frankly, said that this move was terrifying. Of course, the purpose of saying this was just to make Earl Chiji and others have some scruples and dare not let go and attack. However, Magellan was wrong, and it was horribly wrong. Because of his words, he sold himself directly. Just behead you. Why fight against the poisonous skeletons you created? Shanks pulled out the western sword from his waist. Hockey, like him, would not be afraid of any toxins. Looking at Andre at this time, he has closed his eyes, and quietly perceives everything with observation hockey, unaffected by the battle between Magellan and the Red Earl. Although Andre also knew that the 5.5th floor was between the extreme cold hell and the infinite hell, as long as the ice and snow of the extreme cold hell was destroyed, the existence of the 5.5th floor could be found. However, Andre's purpose is to kill Vegapunk. Once the ceiling on the 5.5th floor is destroyed, it will bury the laboratory alive, and it is impossible to confirm whether Vegapunk is really dead. Therefore, he needs to cut off Vegapunk's head with his own hands, cut the grass and roots, and never have future troubles. **********. Extremely cold hell. The cold wind whistled, the wind caught the snow and knocked down the withered pine branches. Under the pine trees, the snow-white army wolves were shivering. They knew that there were people who served terror outside. Where? As time passed by, Andre was a little anxious. Observation hockey seemed to be unable to find the laboratory hidden under the snow under the induction of covering scan. At this moment, Magellan suddenly flew into the depths of the snowfield. To be precise, he should have been kicked by Shanks. Boom! As Magellan landed, the resulting shock wave shook a large area of snow. An entrance was vaguely revealed. On the huge and heavy steel gate at the entrance, it was clearly written that it was forbidden to approach, and this danger symbol was marked. Found it. Andre's face showed excitement, and then he threw a punch. The spiral shock wave suddenly blasted out, and then only a bang was heard, and the door collapsed. Chapter 687. Vegapunk's Horror Experiment. Magellan collapsed outside the gate, unconscious. At this time, Shanks Charlotte Linlin, Earl Red, and Brindewald also came to Andre's side. Is it there? Brindewald's hand has been replaced with a rocket that was left by the guard, and he is ready to use the ability of Momo Fruit to bombard the laboratory with 100 times the power of rockets. Yeah, but the big guys inside don't seem to welcome us. Andre could already hear running sounds coming from the lab. If Kizaru didn't lie, it should be a precursor to the release of 100 jailer beasts. Sure enough, after the gate was blasted open, in less than a few seconds, prisoner beasts swarmed out one after another. As soon as these jailer beasts came out, they rushed towards Andre and the others, wanting to wipe out all the invaders. I'll leave these to you, and I don't want to waste my time on them. After Andre finished speaking, he threw a punch, forcibly slammed a path, and then gave a low shout, bursting out 70 times his own speed, and rushed into the laboratory at a ghostly speed. And those jailer beasts couldn't catch Andre's position with naked eyes, so they locked their eyes on the four Brindewald. How do you feel like you've been tricked by Andre's bad boy? Brindewald muttered, but the bazooka in his hand was fired for the first time. After the power was increased by 100 times, the huge destructive power caused by the rockets instantly blew up more than 10 jailer beasts. However, these jailers have thick skins and are very resistant to fighting, so it is impossible to kill them with one shot. I knew I was being tricked. Brindewald muttered, then drew his knife. Did you only meet Andre for the first day? Charlotte Linlin hummed in surprise, when she was also surrounded by more than 20 jailer beasts. Although these jailer beasts are not strong, it seems a little difficult to eliminate them in a short time. I'll leave it to you here, I'll go in and help. Earl Kaiji didn't want to fight the jailer beast with Snot and Snot here, not because of fear, but because he felt too disgusting, so he also escaped with a ghostly movement. After being chased by the jailer beast, he successfully chased into the laboratory. With the departure of Earl Red, that is to say, one person only had to deal with 25 jailer beasts, but now one person has to deal with more than 33. Bastard! Brindewald cursed, wielding his saber, frantically slashing the jailer beast in front of him. At the same time, Andre, who entered the laboratory, was not blocked by the peace defenders. Didn't you say there were 50 peacekeepers? Why didn't they come out? Dr. Vegapunk, you must be here, I know where you're peeping at me, how about come out and meet? Andre shouted as he walked, already noticing the video bug on the wall. But as he entered the laboratory, everything inside shocked him. I only saw a large number of beast cages on both sides of the road. The beasts inside saw Andre, and they barked their teeth and roared at Andre. Perhaps feeling a little noisy, Andre stuns the beasts with Conqueror Haki. Andre, why are you here? At this moment, the low voice of a man came from the radio speakers embedded on the top of the laboratory. Why, you should know the answer very well. Andre chuckled, picking up his pace as he was sure Vegapunk was in the lab. Do you also want the research results of the giant soldier project, and then overthrow the world government? Vegapunk's voice sounded again on the radio speaker. You're only right about a quarter. Andre stopped when he finished, because in front of him there were 50 peacekeepers lined up waiting for him. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. No matter what you want to do, you can't stop the progress of human beings in technology. Vegapunk replied disapprovingly. Your technology hinders my plan, so it has no value in existence. Andre said, leaning forward, his feet suddenly exerted force. At the same time, armament Haki covered his whole body. His whole body was like a sharp arrow from the string, straight towards the peace defender. And when those peace defenders saw Andre rushing, their first reaction was to raise their hands and bombard Andre with a giant magma fist. Why so many Akainu? Is this the humanoid weapon you're talking about? At this moment, the voice of the Earl of Red came from behind Andre. Andre first kicked the heads of the 3 peace defenders, and then said impatiently, you have time to analyze, why don't you come and help me? Well, they don't look that disgusting at least. Count Kaiji drew his sword again and joined the fray. Vegapunk naturally watched the battle between Andre, the Earl of Red and the Peace Defender, but he was not worried, and he had no intention of running away, and he still carried out his experimental data collection calmly. At the same time, these experimental data were recorded and transferred to the laboratory in Mariajoy. Vegapunk, you lunatic, your luck is running out, the tyrant will definitely kill you, ha 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 tilde tilde tilde. At this time, in a huge tempered glass tank, a bald prisoner with a strong body, with seastone handcuffs on his hands, was mocking Vegapunk proudly. But Vegapunk was unmoved, because he only had science in his eyes, and what he pursued was always the unknown field of human beings. As for the emotional factor of fear, he had long forgotten. The 4719th experiment has begun. The subjects of the experiment are Roken, the former head of the Tiger Shark Pirates, and the Zone Lizard Fruit ability. At present, all physical data indicators are normal, and 100 milliliters of hemoglobin has been injected. Vegapunk put a needle filled with dark purple solution into the prisoner's vein with a blank expression, and then began to collect the next data. However, after Roken received the injection, his body and limbs could become larger. However, in less than 30 seconds, Roken exploded. The burst picture was like a tomato that was suddenly crushed. And minced meat covered the glass tank. The scene looked disgusting. The 4719th test failed, and the subject was injected with 100 milliliters of hemoglobin. While Vegapunk was recording all this, Andre and the Count of Red had come behind him. Chapter 688 The Secret of Vegapunk. In the laboratory, there are a large number of tempered glass jars. These glass jars are like transparent coffins, coldly imprisoning fresh life. And these lives, in the eyes of Vegapunk, are just a piece of experimental data that has not yet been collected. Ooh! Inside the glass jar, the despairing prisoners saw Andre and the Count of Red come in, and immediately hit the glass jar with their heads, and at the same time they screamed, trying to attract the attention of Andre and the Earl of Red and save them from here. I hope you don't make too much noise when you observe the experiment. The emotional fluctuations of the experimental subjects will also affect the data collection. Vegapunk turned around and faced Andre and the Earl of Red, and said, what he said was terrifyingly calm. At this time, Andre saw Vegapunk's face clearly. He is not tall, his body is thin, his arms are like shriveled wood sticks without moisture, but his head is not small, slightly bald, his facial features are very ordinary, he wears a pair of thick glasses. Under the glasses, it can be seen that his dark circles look like a tarsier, which should be caused by severe lack of sleep. You still want to continue your experiment? Andre's eyes flashed coldly. Of course, don't waste time. Vegapunk said mechanically, then put on a pair of sterile rubber gloves, and pressed a red button on his right hand. A large amount of strong acid was injected into the glass jar that had just completed the experiment. Under the corrosion of strong acid, the experimental subject Roken was melted to the extent that there were no bones left in a short time. The strange smell mixed with the pungent smell unique to the blood and strong acid did not penetrate the glass jar, but this bloody and cruel picture was enough to make people sick. Kill him. Although Earl Kai is a legendary pirate, and he has killed many people, he is unwilling to watch such a bloody and cruel scene, so he drew his sword and made a gesture to kill Vegapunk. Facing the imminent sword, Vegapunk was still unafraid. He was still on the test bench, manipulating the instrument, placing the new experimental body on the test bench, and at the same time said naturally, you killed me. It's no use, kill this me, and there are thousands of me. Have you watched too much Kung Fu? Andre subconsciously complained about Vegapunk's answer. But soon, he realized that something was wrong, because a rational person like Vegapunk would never say such mindless words. Andre felt that something was wrong. He was about to stop Count Kai, but it was too late. Count Kai took a step forward and pierced Vegapunk's brain with a sword. A thud, Vegapunk's body fell beside the test stand. It's resolved, burn this place down, and let's leave. Earl Kaiji closed his sword and turned to leave. But he found Andre seemed to be thinking about something, and asked Andre, what's the matter with you? No, there must be something wrong. The words Vegapunk said before he died, and the words the monkey said are definitely not that simple. Andre immediately started to search for all the experimental data in the laboratory. However, the experimental data recorded by Vegapunk was destroyed, and a phone bug that could transmit paper data like a fax machine was found in the laboratory. Andre grabbed the remaining data and murmured, "The laboratory, the real laboratory must not be here." These words confused Earl Chiji. You must know that in order to destroy the laboratory, they made a big circle, and they were attacked by the strong, and now it's all right. Andre actually said that the laboratory was not there. Moreover, in the laboratory they are now in, there are experimental subjects used for experiments and body organs of various races. If this is not a laboratory, where is it? The monkey said I can't kill Vegapunk. Vegapunk also said that he who killed this, there are thousands of him. Could it be? An astonishing idea popped into Andre's mind. Could it be what? Earl Chiji also raised his interest. If Vegapunk has also researched cloning technology, then he can completely clone himself, or he is also a devil fruit ability user and has the ability to clone himself. In this way, it can explain why there are no previous experiments in the laboratory. Data, and what the monkeys call unkillable. If you don't find the real Vegapunk, there's really no way to kill it. Cloning technology, or cloning fruit. Yes, it must exist. Andre's determination, Earl Kai couldn't help but ask, what is a clone? It's just copying, you can understand it like this, copying an exact copy of yourself. Andre didn't know how to explain the definition of clone, so he explained it to Earl Kai in the most simple and easy to understand words. The exact same self. Then why not just copy Marine Admiral? If there is an army composed of Admiral, wouldn't it be invincible? Although the Earl of Red still didn't understand the principle of cloning, he still gave Andre inspiration. Yes, why not clone Admiral? That can only be explained by one reason. Cloning technology does not exist, and cloning fruit exists, but there are limitations. Andre thinks of Von Reich's mimic fruit. Although mimic fruit can 100% imitate the face, body and voice. It can even obtain the stored memory of the imitated person, but after transforming, he can't use his own shemale boxing technique. Therefore, the limitation of cloned fruit may be similar to that of imitation fruit. Although the body and memory of the entire person are completely cloned, there is no way to clone the strength of the cloned person. After listening to Andre's analysis, the Earl of Scarlet said with a sullen face and a little annoyed. That is to say, we went around in a big circle and spent so much effort just killing a clone that can be recreated. I can't say the same. At least this laboratory took a lot of time to build. We destroyed it. If the world government wants to rebuild one, it will also require a lot of time, manpower and financial resources, not to mention that after knowing the secret of Vegapunk, death is not far away. As soon as Andre finished speaking, there was a violent shock under his feet, and it seemed that something had happened outside. Chapter 689 Giant Soldier. Andre, you bastard finally figured it out. As soon as Andre and the Earl of Red came out of the laboratory, they heard Grindelwald complaining. At this time, the extremely cold hell was a mess, with huge potholes everywhere. The pine trees that were originally covered by the university were turned into coke, and Grindelwald, Charlotte Linlin, and Shanks were obvious. Into a struggle. Charlotte Linlin's hair is a little messy, and the captain's hat on her head doesn't know where to go. Shanks' cloak also turned into a strip of cloth, hanging loosely on his body, and Grindelwald was even worse. His left cheek was missing a large piece of flesh, and bones could be seen. At this time his face looked hideous. And what made the three of them look like this was naturally not a jailer beast, but three huge monsters. These three monsters are all over 100 meters tall, with devil-like horns on the top of their heads, and they look like a powerful bull demon transformed, and from their strong physique and rock-like hardness muscle-wise, they are not easy to deal with. Andre, what are you looking at? Come and help. Grindelwald's chest heaved violently, and he was constantly breathing, and it seemed that his physical strength was severely exhausted. The same way, Charlotte Linlin and Shanks are violently angry. Are these three big guys really that powerful? Earl Chiji frowned, and his eyes showed solemnity. After all, it was 3-on-3, with Brindewald, Charlotte Linlin, and Shanks 3. Against these three monsters, it will not consume to such an extent. This should be the giant soldier's plan. It's not just about the size of the human body. Andre sneered in his heart, then took off the cape from his shoulders. No matter what kind of opponent, whoever hinders him, then kill them all. Roar! The three giants seemed to sense the aura emanating from Andre's body, and immediately turned their targets to stare at Andre. This made the three of Brindewald breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that they spent almost all their strength in order to kill the three giant soldiers. Do you need my help? The Earl of Red asked when he saw Andre confronting the three-headed giant. I'll try it first. How durable they are. Andre had a smile on his face, then Vivi leaned forward, controlled an angle of his body, and rushed out immediately. The three giant soldiers saw Andre rushing towards them. They immediately raised their feet and stomped heavily on the ground, causing violent turbulence in the snowfield, and the ground fluctuated continuously. And the turmoil was exactly the same as Andre felt in the lab earlier. It seems that these three giants are not stupid. They know that Andre's speed is too fast to beat him at all, so they interfere with his going path and slow him down. Want me to stop? You are so naive. Moon step Hida. Andre grinned, and then stomped his right foot. His body suddenly jumped into the air, like a missile that was lifted into the sky. His head slammed into the chin of a giant soldier. There was a loud crack, and the giant soldier was knocked to the ground. And after knocking down the giant soldier, Andre didn't plan to stop the attack. He adjusted his body balance in the shortest time, and then the muscles in his legs swelled. Rankyaku Tempest Kick Plow Bombing. Thousands of slashes covered the body of the fallen giant like aerial bombs. Boom 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 rumble. At this time, the other two giant soldiers attacked. Iron Block. Armed. Overlord Armor. Armament Hockey and the Iron Block were completely fused in an instant, fully demonstrating Andre's absolute control over his own strength in his peak period, and the freedom to use his own skills. Under the protection of the Overlord Armor, although Andre was bombarded with a huge fist from the left and the right, he was not injured, and he landed not far away, looking for an opportunity to attack again. Hiss, underscore. Both Charlotte Linlin and Shanks gasped. They had both played against Andre. They only knew he was strong, but they never thought he would be so strong. Especially Shanks, he is the same generation as Andre. However, he was thrown far away by Andre. I can only look at his back, can't I catch up again? Kid Andre, that's amazing. Brindewald also had to be convinced. When he was at the peak of his personal strength, he couldn't use his own strength as naturally as Andre. The Count of Chiji suddenly changed his face drastically. Now is not the time to praise him. The giant soldier who was knocked down stood up again. What? Brindewald, Shanks, Charlotte Linlin exclaimed in unison. You must know that under such terrifying and intensive slashes from Andre just now, if it was them, even if they didn't die, they would fall to the ground and be seriously injured. This recovery ability and physical strength are even more terrifying than the jailer beast, and they are about to catch up with Lucas, who can transform into a titan. Interesting, it seems that it is not easy to kill these three giant soldiers. Andre muttered in his mouth, but there was no fear or flinch on his face, because the fists of the giant soldiers were average. Even Kaido can't reach that level, just rough skin and thick flesh, coupled with this terrifying recovery ability, makes people feel difficult to defeat, that's all. Andre, we can't waste time here. Their purpose should be to hold us back and buy time for their reinforcements so they can surround us. Before Shanks could finish speaking, Andre interrupted very simply. Shut up, Shanks, you're not qualified to teach me how to do it. Andre, what Shanks said is right, we shouldn't waste time here, and after we leave here, we'll work out a way to kill them together. Charlotte Linlin's face showed an anxious look. After all, the experiment here but the baby of the world government and the world's nobles will not sit idly by, and the reinforcements sent to rescue will surely arrive soon. Shut up, if you are afraid of death, then wait for me upstairs first. Andre didn't listen to anyone's advice at all. He wasn't someone who was afraid of fighting, let alone this man-made monster. Chapter 690 Weakness. Fear death. These words made Earl Chiji and the others stunned. Kid Andre, don't underestimate people, these 3 giant soldiers, let me be responsible for killing one. Grindelwald is old, but his temper is not small, how could he be able to stand Andre's words so aggressive? Shanks and Charlotte Linlin felt that there was no point in continuing the fight, but they were the 4 emperors, how could they retreat, fear of death? The 4 of you hold 2, and I'll focus on 1. Andre snorted, he had already achieved his goal, so he did not delay, and immediately rushed to one of the giants. The giant saw Andre rushing towards him, and this time, instead of stomping the floor with his feet, he yelled at Andre instead. A huge sound wave kicked up the snow on the ground like a blizzard, trying to blow Andre away. Big man, you are too slow. Andre and Lucas have both played against each other, so he knows the way to deal with the big man, that is, use his dexterity to reveal the enemy's flaws, and then seize the opportunity to attack the flaws. In an instant, Andre moved erratically at high speed, combined with shaving, and performed ghostly displacements, making the giant soldier's attacks fail again and again, and he also observed the giant soldier's entire body. Andre found that although the giant soldier in front of him was huge and his reaction was not slow, when they turned around, the knee joint of their right leg was obviously unnatural. Weakness. After Andre found the flaw, he immediately slid in place and braked sharply, then jumped up and kicked the giant soldier's knee. Crack tilde 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 boom tilde tilde as the bones shattered, there was also a sound like a tendon snapping. As the right knee of the giant soldier broke, the giant soldier was half knelt on the ground. But this time, the giant soldier couldn't quickly recover his broken knee and stood up again. Sure enough, this giant soldier is still not perfect. The weak point is the joints that connect the body's bone structure, and the knee joints need to support the entire body, which is the most likely to expose problems. Andre did not rush to attack, but calmly analyzed. Afterwards, Andre pulled out the saber Budu Yusol from his waist, and the light on the blade was like a lightning arc flashing. As long as you lose your mobility and destroy your balance, will you be able to recover like you did before? Andre grinned, then rushed towards the giant soldier. Andre's knife is very fast, and with the long, narrow and straight blade of Bodu Yusin, it brings out the essence of the fast knife to the extreme. Andre with both arms, but he was too slow. Breaking the mountain and smashing it. Combining the boxing technique with the sword technique, the Bengjin slashed out in an instant and merged into the body of the giant soldier. Bang bang bang. The collapsing energy that penetrated into the giant soldier's body was destroying the giant soldier from the inside. Finally, with a loud bang, the giant soldier fell to the ground and never got up again. Hearing Andre's analysis and seeing Andre's fighting style with his own eyes, Charlotte Linlin also took the opportunity to jump up and kick a giant soldier's knee. At the same time, Grindelwald and the Earl of Red also cut off a giant soldier's knee joint together. The giant soldiers who could not stand and move were like heavy tanks lying in their nests. Under the siege of 4 super strong men, their right leg was completely smashed. After the wound gradually expanded, their internal balance was broken and their ability to recover. Far less than before. I thought you could be as strong as you are, but you're just big. Grindelwald picked up 2 rocket launchers, and then controlled the ability of Momo's fruit to bleed the giant soldiers again and again. Shanks and the Earl of Kai were even more straightforward, wielding their swords and slashing, leaving hundreds of wounds more than half a meter deep on the giant soldier's body in no time. With more and more wounds on the giant soldiers, these giant soldiers finally died because of excessive blood loss. Hey, I finally got rid of them. Andre boy, I didn't expect such a tough opponent to still let you find out the flaws. Hey, what's your reaction? Grindelwald put Andre's face ugly. A pair of the appearance that others owed him tens of billions of Bailey, could not help but doubt. Hearing what Grindelwald said, Earl Red, Charlotte Linlin, and Shanks all turned their heads and looked at Andre. Sure enough, Andre's face was ugly now. Next time, we won't be so easy. If we don't find the real Vegapunk and kill him, then this giant soldier may be mass-produced, and then you won't be able to laugh. What are you afraid of? Haven't you discovered the weakness of this giant soldier? Grindelwald comforted. Wald, you are wrong, I discovered the weakness of the giant soldier, but this weakness was also known by Vegapunk. After Andre finished speaking, he pointed to the top of the extreme cold hell. There was a small balloon-like thing floating there, and under the small thing, a video worm was hanging, that is to say, the whole process of the battle just now was also destroyed. Vegapunk witnessed. The faces of the four Shanks changed suddenly, and they knew that Andre's words were not alarmist. In fact, if Andre hadn't discovered the flaws in the giants, they would have been in a tough fight today. And if this weakness is corrected by Vegapunk, the army of giant soldiers will definitely have the destructive power of destruction. At this moment, the Holy Land Mariajoy, Ernst Saint Mansion. No one could have imagined that Vegapunk's Real Research Institute would be in Ernst Street's home. Impel Down just now took Ernst Street's evaluation of Andre to a higher level. It seems that this arrogant pirate is really not easy. Ernst Saint shook his glass and said with emotion, but his eyes stopped on Vegapunk, who was wearing a white coat, constantly recording data, and planning new experiments. After Vegapunk handed the record to a clone who was exactly like him, he turned around and said to Ernst Street, I need more experimental items, and a more secret laboratory. The experimental subjects should be as small as possible. Those with zone ability, or those who are good at fighting technique or swordsmanship, can only overcome the flaws exposed by the joints of the right leg after the body has grown huge. Quote, I will satisfy you with all these requirements, and I have already screened qualified experimental subjects for you from the army and prison, but Dr. Vegapunk, how long will it take for me to let you give me a complete army of giants? My wait is not indefinite. Saint Ernst stared at Vegapunk with eagle eyes. Chapter 691-4, Money. Justice. Intentionally planting flowers will not bloom, inadvertently planting willows and willows. Andre's original intention to hold the Pirate League meeting was to kill Vegapunk, destroy the laboratory located on the 5.5th floor of Impel Down, and achieve the purpose of ending the giant soldier plan. However, it backfired. Although the laboratory was successfully destroyed, it still could not completely stop the giant soldier plan. It could only be said that it was delayed for a while. However, the pirates' assault operations seemed to be successful. Since Andre's 5 people attacked Impel Down by surprise, forcing Sengoku to rescue him under the great pressure of the world government, the channel was completely opened by the pirates. Therefore, for 3 full days, the vicious pirates in the New World frantically looted islands and towns, and at the same time destroyed most of the docks, making the world government's shipbuilding capabilities almost paralyzed. This is good news for Andre, and Dragon of South Blue, and Lucas of West Blue are secretly relieved, a sigh of relief. After all, Marine's shipbuilding capabilities are paralyzed, which is definitely a good opportunity for South Blue and West Blue, which are at a disadvantage in sea power. Especially Lucas, he lost almost all of his fleet in the battle off the waters. At the same time, after the economic blockade, the national strength has not been as good as before. Under such circumstances, if he wanted to enter into an arms race with the world government and the world nobles, he would definitely lose. However, the situation is different now. The world government's shipyard is completely destroyed, and the shipbuilding capability is paralyzed. It is impossible to build a ship in a short time. The other hand, Kansas has a strong industrial base and a large number of docks. If West Blue financial resources are combined, they can still catch up when the other side is stagnant and narrow the gap in maritime power. However, the biggest beneficiary of this war is not Andre, let alone Lucas, but Fulviao. The giant soldier plan, this plan that was proposed hundreds of years ago and started to be implemented, is naturally clear to him as Tenryubito. And Fulviao also knew that this plan was taken over by his father Ernst Street 20 years ago. Therefore, the progress of the giant soldier plan was destroyed, the laboratory was destroyed, and a series of events caused by the destruction of the dock can be used. If done properly, Ernst Street will definitely lose in the presidential election a year later. Apparently, Ernst Street is also aware of the seriousness of the problem. So he desperately needed Vegapunk to give him a deadline. If the giant army can be built within the time limit, then all the lost reputation can be restored, and at the same time, he is the candidate to lead the 21st family of Mariajoy. Son Moruofu, on the contrary, Fulviao also understood his father's plans. Fulviao did not deny that his father, Ernst Street, was an outstanding military and martial artist. However, in his opinion, his father was also short-sighted, thinking that as long as he controlled absolute power, to continue the glory of the descendants of the Creator. But in fact, this is just drinking poison to quench thirst. Because Tenryubito's oppression has made all ethnic groups rebellious, power and coercion can only be temporarily controlled, and under this control, a larger revolutionary wave will break out. The South Blue Revolutionary Army is a prime example. It is the key to the rise and fall of a dynasty that people turn their backs. Fulviao has long realized this, so if the glory of the Creator continues to bloom on the Holy Land, he can only overthrow the original rotten rule and establish a new kingship. At the same time, Fulviao also believes that the only person who can reverse all this and create new brilliance can only be him. Go to Saint Julof and say I want to give him a big gift. General Fulviao gave instructions. Yes, my master. Da Vinci, the Arrow King, took the command with pleasure. The troubled times continue, and since the New World pirates looted paradise under the leadership of Tyrant and Whitebeard, the nations in paradise have become increasingly dissatisfied with the world government. The clues can be seen in the World Conference. North Blue and East Blue were among the countries that came to the World Conference, and the countries in the first half of the Great Route were all absent, as if they had passed gas beforehand. This has the Gorosei, 5 elders on fire. And what made the Gorosei, 5 elders even more angry was that these kings were not only absent, but refused to pay tribute to the world government. The purpose of being absent and refusing to pay tribute and paying taxes is naturally to express the dissatisfaction of various countries and to protest the incompetence of the world government. Are they going to break away from the world government? They must be punished. The world government needs their tribute. Kill the chickens to warn the monkeys, severely punish several countries, and let them know that they will go against the will of the government. In anger, the Gorosei, 5 elders made a decision to preserve the majesty of the world government. Marine is currently the best armed force of the world government, so this time, Marine's sharp guns are aimed at the allied countries. What? Buster Call. Sengoku was stunned on the spot after receiving the instructions from the Gorosei, 5 elders. Although Buster Call is not useless, for example, in South Blue, Marine has performed Buster Call no less than 10 times. Of course, the target is the area where the Revolutionary Army may be hiding, but the implementation of Buster Call to the allied countries has never been done. What's more, among the targets of Buster Call this time, there is a king who is familiar with Sengoku. Executing the order, this is for the dignity and justice of the world government. Gorosei, 5 elders obviously did not intend to give Sengoku a chance to maneuver, so while notifying him, they also informed Akainu who was recovering. Without the tribute and taxation of various countries, the finances of the world government will be in dire straits, and no military support will be given to Marine. Therefore, for the dignity and justice of the world government, please don't let us down. Gorosei, 5 elders told Akainu very bluntly that the Buster Call was issued for money, and Akainu also understood the importance of the military funding provided by the world government to Marine. Even Marine's salary can't be paid. This view certainly doesn't make sense to the good Sengoku, but Akainu is a professional soldier and he understands that the Gorosei, 5 elders, are not alarmist. We can't let soldiers go to war on an empty stomach. Akainu, who was still in the ward, summoned all the Hawk generals in the headquarters and conveyed the words of the Gorosei, 5 elders intact. Indeed, it is impossible to fight without money and food. This is very clear from the Revolutionary Army. It is full of enthusiasm, and because there is no financial support, it almost collapses. Akainu Admiral, we firmly uphold absolute justice. A group of hawkish generals slammed their feet and expressed their determination to Akainu. Chapter 692 South Blue Kid. After learning that Akainu had mobilized 10 Hawks, Vice Admiral, to perform the Buster Call, Sengoku also knew that he couldn't turn around. But since Buster Call was imperative, Sengoku had no choice but to do it. Instead of letting it go, it's better for me to execute it, at least to control the scope. Sengoku knew that the Gorosei, 5 elders, had figured this out and forced him into submission, but he had to do what they wanted. Otherwise, according to the practice of Akainu and his hawkish generals, the country that was given the Buster Call would not be left alive. In 1 month, paradise became hell, and 4 countries perished under Buster Call. The royal city was breached, the royal family was slaughtered, and the people in the capital who had no time to escape also became the souls of the dead. However, the effect is still obvious. At the World Government Conference held in the following month, except for the 4 kings who had been wiped out, all the kings of other countries were present. At the same time, tribute and taxes are all made up. However, this is not enough. For the world government, betrayal comes at a price, and making up tribute and taxes is far from enough to clear the guilt. Therefore, based on the principle of reward for merit and punishment for failure, countries still need to pay a lot of money, and at the same time pay more tribute and taxes, so that this mistake can be deeply remembered. Under the high taxation, the people who were already deeply poisoned by pirates were finally overwhelmed, and a wave of resistance broke out. Among them, the most typical one is Alabasta. See Circle Calendar. In November 1518, an unprecedented revolution broke out in the southern part of Alabasta. The rebels captured the important town of Meituno in the southern part of Alabasta overnight, and approached the big southern city of Aluma. Sand Crocodile was also a little caught off guard by this sudden surprise. Originally, he wanted to use dancing fans to make the people of this country resent their king, Neferutali Cobra, but unexpectedly, Cobra stupidly joined the ranks of protesting to the world government. Although Alabasta was not destroyed, the tribute and taxes requested by the world government were twice as high as in the past. Simply worse for Alabasta, who has not had good weather in these years and has been infested by pirates. As the king, Cobra was naturally unwilling to fight with his own national soldiers, so he took the initiative to send officials to contact the rebels, saying that he would not be held accountable, and promised that the tribute and taxes would all be borne by the royal family. Shot Crocodile wants a turbulent Alabasta to use to build his pirate empire, so how could he let Godsend slip away? Just when the rebel leader and Cobra's messenger ended their conversation, and on the way back to Matwono, he was ambushed by Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas. After killing the rebel leader, he blamed Cobra for hiring the killer. The rebels felt deceived by Cobra, so on the day the leader was killed, they stormed the city of Aluma, and the civil war in Alabasta broke out. When Cobra was struggling to deal with the rebellion, Shot Crocodile, as Shichibukai, worked hard to shape his image as a messenger of justice, leading his men to defend the city of Rapeflower, maintain the stability of the port, and became a hero of the Alabasta people. Due to the dancing fans, and the assassination of the rebel leader, the country was plunged into war, and Neferutali Fifi, who was hiding in the Baroque Works room, vowed to find out the truth. See Circle Calendar. January 1519 was even more chaotic in South Blue. On the South Blue continent, the war shows no signs of stopping, and on the sea, the war is expanding. Starting from the hometown of South Blue, Kid, determined to regain everything he lost and surpassed his master, is ambitious to fight against the Marine South Blue expedition fleet. The matter of South Blue can only be decided by us South Blue people, whether it's the Revolutionary Army or the Marines. Get out of here. Kid's speech was brief, but his determination was felt by everyone, including Cavendish and others who were forced to stay in South Blue by him. Maybe this guy will be an interesting person. Although Cavendish did not agree with Kid verbally, Kid came to South Blue for a few months, and he grabbed a large number from Marine and the Revolutionary Army. A piece of land. Just for this, he secretly admired it. After all, the Revolutionary Army and Marine are two giant-like existences to ordinary pirates. Tomorrow we're going to kill Maynard and Bastille. As Kid raised his arms and shouted, Mahawk, who was watching Kid's figure in the distance, nodded secretly. At least in terms of momentum, Kid is already a bit like his master, but he still lacks the experience of war. Although it seems that Kid is making a lot of noise in South Blue, there is still Andre's influence behind it. After all, the Revolutionary Army now had to rely on Andre, and Marine didn't dare to go to war with Andre easily, so Garp and Sora were transferred away, leaving only Maynard and Bastille to make up the numbers in South Blue. And the two are also sensible. Anyway, Marine only needs to block the sea. As for the site that Kid wants, they can let it go. Marine and the Revolutionary Army deliberately released water, but it also fulfilled Kid. In April 1519 of the Sea Circle calendar, the name of South Blue Kid spread throughout the Great Route. Although it has not officially entered the Great Route, the momentum is booming, coupled with the relationship of Andre's apprentice, Kid's reward. It also suddenly soared to 300 million Bailey. This is the case that he has won such a high bounty before entering the Great Route. What about after entering the Great Route? However, Kid himself is not in a hurry to enter the Great Route, because he has also stayed in the Great Route for a long time and has a good understanding of the forces of the Great Route. The first half is basically all newcomers from all over the world get together to play a family, and make a small fight to the New World. In the end, they are either destroyed by the monsters of the New World, or they are annexed, or they join a small group and beat Whitebeard, Tyrant, Slogan, silently daydreaming unrealistically. Therefore, to enter the Great Route, you must be well prepared. First, there must be strong subordinates. Second, there must be new warships. By Andre, Kid knew very well that these two things were indispensable. Therefore, he has to continue to expand his territory in South Blue, recruit troops, and continue to expand his influence. At the same time, he has to find out the whereabouts of Gecko Moria. Chapter 693 Turbulent May. Sea Circle Calendar 1519 Kid goes big in South Blue, just one of many events. During this year, the Kansas capital city of Gemstone issued a declaration of West Blue's comprehensive and compulsory economic reform, to acquire enterprises and factories in various places within half a year, externally and internally, naturally, nationalization, which is conducive to regulating West Blue economy. However, Sima Zhao's heart is known to everyone. West Blue's businesses and factories belong to the big consortium and the original West Blue families, so they all know that the purpose of Lucas is to plunder West Blue's wealth, charge it into the treasury of Kansas, and supplement Kansas's military spending. The whole. What's more, the so-called acquisition is just an official statement, but in fact it is a robbery. For example, a steelmaking plant that has been established for more than 100 years has a total investment of more than 80 billion Baileys and an annual output value of more than 10 billion Baileys, while the purchase price given by Lucas is 5 billion Baileys. 5 billion Bailey to acquire a steelmaking plant with more than 100 years of history. Isn't this what a robbery is? In order to speed up the progress of nationalization, Lucas even sent a large number of troops to persecute with knives and guns. Either take the money or stay alive. Lucas was forced to do this when the West Blue economy was blocked and the country's finances were extremely tight. And the consequence of doing so is naturally a large-scale revolution in West Blue. In May 1519, in C-Circle Calendar 1519, the West Blue family and consortium, which had been deprived of their rights, started a war to overthrow the Bolsky family. Lucas, who had already responded, mobilized the army that had been prepared for a long time, and responded to the revolution with an unprecedented massacre and bloody response to the revolution. In the future, a month-long massacre was carried out, killing nearly 1 million rebels and their families, with an average of nearly 30,000 people killed every day. For a time, the notoriety of West Blue Lucas also reached an unprecedented height, and West Blue fell into a high-pressure rule. None of that mattered to Lucas, though, as he confiscated a ton of wealth and bolstered the Kansas state treasury. With the support of huge financial resources, the West Blue shipyard is running at full capacity, starting construction day and night, and the speed of shipbuilding is like making dumplings, which is amazingly fast. In this regard, the world government, while strongly condemning the atrocities of Lucas, also accelerated the construction of the dock. Because the world government is very clear that if Lucas is allowed to violent soldiers, then the future will be a serious problem. At this time, the nobles of the world did not pay much attention to West Blue's affairs. Because in April 1519 of the C-Circle calendar, the 21 families on the Mariajoy held an election for the president of the assembly. The candidates are Saint Ernst and Saint Chuloff. The two of them will do their best to give speeches from April to May, to express their views, and to gain the support of various family members, so as to gain more votes. But obviously, because Ernst Street, who was in charge of the Giant Soldier Project, was in an absolute disadvantage and passive situation in a series of events such as the destruction of the Impel Down laboratory. In addition, Chuloff Street has a lot of negative news against Ernst Street, so he has taken the limelight in the election. Although the final June elections are still some time away, the scale of victory seems to have tipped in Chuloff Street. What made Ernst Street even more unexpected was that the new laboratory he secretly built in March was smashed by André again. Although it is not known who leaked the information to André, this was undoubtedly a huge blow to Ernst Saint. It also meant that he lost the chips to turn the game around. Also in May, the situation at South Blue was once again violently volatile. The internal intelligence of the Revolutionary Army was leaked, which led to the looting of a number of important arms of the Revolutionary Army. Therefore, the government army took advantage of it and captured more than 10 cities in a row. The morale of the Revolutionary Army was once again in the doldrums. Although the Revolutionary Army wanted to turn to Team Zero for help, their request was rejected by André. At least in André's view, he is not a nanny and has no obligation to take care of the Revolutionary Army, and his main goal now is to find Vegapunk, and he does not have so much energy to care about South Blue. Also in May, André, as promised, released Admiral Kizaru. But Kizaru didn't have any joy in regaining his freedom, because André, the bad guy, let out the wind, claiming that all the information he got was provided by Kizaru. Fortunately, Kizaru had passed Clarence Street, and Chuloff Street was about to become the new chairman, so he did not send Kizaru to Impel Down to squat in prison. However, the death penalty can be avoided, and the living crime cannot escape, and Kizaru still has to suffer some punishments. At least the scientific troops must be handed over. Although Admiral's position was retained, the Gorosei 5 elders temporarily arranged for him to serve as governor of West Blue. Going to West Blue as governor. 3-year-olds in the world now know that West Blue is Lucas's territory. Send Kizaru to West Blue. Isn't that looking for abuse? After Kizaru was relieved of his current position and went to work at West Blue, Sabo was exceptionally promoted to Marine Vice Admiral by virtue of his personal merits and his loyalty to the world government. C-Circle calendar in November 1519, Carlos decided to leave Syrup Village and return to Team Zero. Usopp was reluctant to leave Carlos, but before leaving, Carlos said to him, "When you are not famous, don't mention that you are my apprentice, I can't afford to lose this person. Watching the master's sampan boat go away, Usopp said goodbye in tears. He was very grateful to Carlos for his teaching. Although Carlos always said that he couldn't support the wall with mud, he still taught him carefully. This is what Usopp can feel. Master, I will definitely be famous at sea. Usopp clenched the revolver in his hand, which was a birthday gift from Carlos to him. Although the weight and quality are completely incomparable with Carlos's 2 revolvers, Usopp is regarded as a treasure. So this is the most precious birthday gift he has ever received, and it is also a testament to the mentorship between him and Carlos. Of course, Carlos didn't think so. He just thought it was too embarrassing to be an apprentice who played with slingshots, so he commissioned Ratchet to order a revolver and sent it to Syrup Village through the Raphael Chamber of Commerce. Okay, leave the village tomorrow and make a name for yourself in the sea. A month after Carlos left the village, Usopp also made preparations and decided to set off for the Great Route tomorrow. The next morning, the sun was shining. Usopp was carrying his luggage and was about to board the sampan when he suddenly saw a huge bull-headed sea beast with a length of more than 5 meters and a fat body jumping out of the sea in the distance. He retracted his feet intentionally. Forget it, the weather is not very good today, let's go to sea in a few days. Quote. Chapter 694 Luffy Goes to Sea. Grandpa, today is a good day, so I decided to go to sea. I will definitely become One Piece, king of pirates before Ace, hee. When Garp gets a letter from Luffy, he goes crazy. His son Dragon became the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and his grandson went out to sea as a pirate. Andre, you bastard. Garp has always believed that if Andre hadn't made this absurd and chaotic world, then this sea would not have so many things, and his family could be more harmonious, and his son and grandson would become Marines in the future. Bang bang bang. Garp was in a hurry and kept putting his feet on the side of the boat. Garp Vice Admiral, please calm down. Garp Vice Admiral, don't be impulsive. On Garp's ship, Garp's subordinates tried their best to grab Garp. If Garp is kicked like this, the warship will be overturned sooner or later. Fortunately, after an hour of exasperated swearing, Garp finally stopped. Goo. After drinking a cup of tea made by his subordinates, Garp rubbed his forehead with a headache. This bastard, hey. Garp Vice Admiral, why don't you go and get Luffy back? A colonel glanced at Garp, and when he saw that his temper had eased, he asked cautiously. What's the use of catching this kid? He's still sneaking out unless he's locked in seastone handcuffs. Although Garp doesn't have much time to teach Luffy, Luffy's character is a bit similar to his father's. He is a donkey stubborn temperament. Just wanted to do it for you to see. Coupled with the fact that Luffy is still in a rebellious adolescence, this rebellious idea is even more restrained. Garp really has nothing to do with Luffy. If there is a way, he can still watch his son become a rebel and make a revolution. Seastone locked the house. Did Garp Vice Admiral do this before? A group of generals secretly clicked their tongues, saying that every family has a hard-to-read scripture. It seems that Garp Vice Admiral's scriptures are not only difficult to read, but also wonderful. However, should this matter be reported to the headquarters? If Luffy encounters the Kuroba Vice Admiral who came to supervise the Order of East Blue, then there will be a big problem. A staff officer suggested in a low voice. Vice Admiral in the mouth of the staff is naturally the Black Fist Randy Orton Blackfeather. He was suspended for a period of time because of some things 2 years ago, and with the East Blue Pirates there are signs of a comeback. So Sengoku sent him to East Blue. Since Blackfeather was suspended and then distributed to East Blue, his mentality has undergone a drastic change. For the pirates, he is killing without mercy. I hope that all the pirates in East Blue will be surrounded and wiped out so that he can return. Head Office. It is precisely because of the bloody storm that Blackfeather caused in East Blue, so the pirates call him the Execution Officer, which means that if he falls into his hands, he will be sentenced to death. Staff was worried that if Luffy fell into Kuroba's hands, he would be executed by him, so he wanted to let Garp and Sengoku ventilate, let Sengoku tell Kuroba, and turn a blind eye to Luffy. That boy Kuroba, he's as annoying as a Kainu now. Garp sighed deeply and did not take the advice of his subordinates. Although he is usually not serious in front of Sengoku, let him condone his grandson to be a pirate, and let his old friends help cover. Absolutely indescribable. Then why don't you tell Dragon about Luffy's trip to sea and let him contact Andre, so he can take care of one or two at sea? The staff officer was dragged up by Garp before he finished speaking. We're Marine, how can we get involved with the Revolutionary Army and pirates? Spitstar sprayed the staff officer's face, making the staff officer dumbfounded. But Garp still loves his grandson after all, so he secretly called Dragon at night, and scolded him over the phone. You bastard, it's all because of your neglect of discipline. Now my grandson is going to be a pirate, you this incompetent guy. Although Garp scolded Dragon for half an hour on the phone bug, Dragon already understood what he meant. I see. Dragon put down the phone bug, and then planned to send someone to East Blue, but after thinking about it, he decided to talk to Luffy himself. Meanwhile, on the boundless sea, after killing the offshore king, Luffy embarked on his journey in a small boat. Although his childhood contact with Andre made him question pirates, the appearance of Shanks made him regain his longing for the sea, determined to become a pirate as free as Shanks, and secretly vowed that he would definitely to fulfill their agreement, return the straw hat to Shanks. Wait, Ace, I'll definitely get ahead of you and become One Piece, King of Pirates. Luffy smirked, fantasizing about meeting Shanks and Ace on the ocean soon after. But the fate is always surprisingly similar, and soon, Luffy ushered in his first disaster after going to sea, the whirlpool. It was a vortex with a radius of several hundred meters. Although it looked small, its gravitational force was not small, and it kept sucking everything around, including Luffy's boat. Luffy, who had a relatively long neural reflex arc, was still looking left and right to see if there were any boats passing by at sea. On a certain island, the fat and ugly Alvida is still doing things like eating, sleeping, robbing and beating Kobe as usual. However, during this period of time, due to the bloody storm caused by Kuroba Vice Admiral in East Blue, she has some insomnia recently, and her food intake has also deteriorated. Now she can only sleep 14 hours a day, eat 20 pounds of meat and a barrel of wine. Hey, at this rate, my body will collapse. Alvida was in front of the vanity mirror, complaining to herself, and every time she saw her peerless face getting thinner and thinner, she felt angrier in her heart. Why don't you just go to the King of Clowns? Alvida doesn't know how to choose. Although Buggy, the King of Clowns, is already a overlord character in East Blue, after taking refuge in Buggy, she can't live the life of a queen like she is now, not to mention that if Buggy likes her with such a beautiful face, what should she do? Hey, what a hard life. Thinking of this, the worried Alvida couldn't help but stuffed a large piece of barbecue into his mouth. But before Alrita could swallow the meat, there was a bang, 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 and then the two men embedded their heads on the wall of her bedroom one after the other. Chapter 695 East Blue Overlord. Alvida hates being disturbed when she's wearing makeup, even though she doesn't forget to nourish herself while she's doing it. The angry Alvida grabbed the hair of the two minions and asked angrily, "Bastard, what happened?" "Miss Alvida, a monster with long arms attacked us," replied a pirate minion with a skull tattoo on his arm. "Yeah, not only will the hands get longer, but I hit him with a gun and he bounced the bullet back," added another pirate with a brown turban on his head. A monster with long hands and bullets. Alvida's fat face showed a hideous smile. She threw the two minions out, and then fucked the big iron bang in the room. She wanted to let the monster know how strong the fighting power of T-Bang Alvida was. At this time, Luffy was much bigger than the original book, so he had already knocked down all of Alvida's minions. "Mr. Luffy, run, Alvida is out, she'll kill you." Kobe looked at Alvida with a look of fear. Although Luffy had just easily beaten Alvida's men, but in front of Alvida with terrifying power, he would definitely be easily killed. Kobe thought so and persuaded Luffy the same way, but Luffy didn't care. "You're the one who bullied Kobe," Luffy said, clenching his fists and twisting his neck. "So what?" Alvida stared at Luffy with a grin. "Well, since you admit it, then I will teach you a lesson. The tone is not small, I will let you know how much iron bang Alvida." Rubber pistol. Alvida hadn't finished saying the word, terrible, when Luffy's arm suddenly lengthened and he punched her in the cheek. Luffy's current strength is not small. In the original book, he has the power to defeat the King of the Near Sea with one punch, not to mention that because of Andre's influence, he has been able to focus on physical exercise since he was a child. Therefore, this punch directly sent Alvida nearly 100 meters, leaving Kobe behind Luffy stunned. "Kobe, I knocked her out, but I'm so hungry now." "Ah, me, I'll prepare food for you right away." Kobe had a look of excitement on his face because he could finally get rid of Alvida. When Luffy was having a meal in the wooden house, the knocked-down minions outside the house slept and dragged the unconscious Alvida away after waking up. Whoops! A basin of icy seawater splashed on Alvida's body, finally waking her up. "Miss Alvida, it's great, you're finally awake." The scumbags under Alvida's command are all excited. Although Alvida is ugly and yells at them, these incompetent scumbags can make a small fortune under her command in this sea of the weak. "Just do it. Bastard, where's the guy in the straw hat? I'm going to kill him." Alvida was angry, shouting to find revenge on Luffy. "Miss Alvida, let's not go looking for him, that guy is so powerful that we are no match for him at all." "Yeah, Miss Alvida, don't you remember? You were blown away by his punch." "What did you say?" Alvida raised her foot and kicked the pirate who said the wrong thing away. "Miss Alvida, if we want revenge, we still have to use the power of the King of Clowns." "Yeah, Buggy, the King of Clowns, is now as famous as South Blue Kid. If we can get the help of the King of Clowns, the boy in the straw hat will be dead." And looking at their travel route, the next stop is Shell's Town. Isn't that just into the One Piece King of Pirates country of the King of Clowns? "You guys, you said every word, and tried your best to persuade Alvida to find Buggy for help." Although Alvida was unwilling, her cheeks were aching, so she calmed down and went to Shell's Town overnight according to the advice of her subordinates. Shell's Town used to be a not too prosperous town. However, since it was ruled by the King of Clowns, Buggy, the town has been prosperous. There are courtyards, casinos, taverns everywhere along the street. It has completely become the kingdom of pirates, as well as the unforgettable Golden Cave. Huge amount of Buggy, the King of Clowns, which is as high as 31 million Baileys. Even Krieg, the admiral of the Krieg pirates, is in awe of Buggy. And no one could have imagined that Buggy has made a lot of money in East Blue all these years. South Blue's wars continue. West Blue Kansas has been buying supplies frantically over the years, and East Blue's supplies are simply in demand. Of course, you will know how to make money, but also know how to spend money. In this troubled world, what consumption is the most valuable? Of course it's guns. As long as someone has weapons and ships, there will be no shortage of money. With the money earned by smuggling materials, Buggy has secretly ordered 2 latest warships from West Blue and North Blue, and also found Logatown to customize a large number of weapons. Now Buggy has 10 ships under his command, with nearly 3,000 people, and the East Blue Overlord is well deserved. But this time, Buggy has some headaches. Because the Marine headquarters actually sent a Hawk Vice Admiral to East Blue. Buggy has seen a lot of things in the world, and the strength of Vice Admiral in the headquarters is not bad, far from the East Blue Marine and the 5 scumbags such as Monka and Mouse. Would you like to kill him secretly? Buggy hesitated. He was not afraid of Heiau, but worried that after killing Heiau, his strength would be exposed, and the image of the weak created by keeping a low profile for the outside world, would be ruined after 20 years of pretending to be crazy. But without killing Heiyu, with the speed of Heiyu's extermination of pirates, sooner or later, he will come to his territory to make trouble. Just when Buggy was upset, a minion suddenly ran over. "Boss, that fat woman from T-Bang Alvida wants to see you," the minion whispered in Buggy's ear. "Alvida, why did she come to see me?" Buggy pondered for a while, then said to the minions, "Bring her up." Yes. The minion left immediately. After a while, Alvida came to Buggy under the guidance of the minions. When they saw Alvida's fat and ugly face, the cadres such as Moji, Kuikabachi and other cadres under Buggy's command spit out the food they had not swallowed. "What are you looking at? I've never seen a beautiful woman." After Alvida's words, Buggy couldn't help it. With a puff, he spit out the wine in his mouth. Chapter 696 Take the feathers as arrows. Alvida went to Buggy for help, but Buggy is not a good person, not to mention Alvida's honor, even a good person is not interested. So Buggy didn't care much about Luffy. Little did Luffy know that Kobe wanted to be Marine, so he embarked on a journey to the 153 branch of Shell's Town. But before Luffy arrives, Shell's Town has an unwelcome guest. That is the pirate hunter, Roronoa Zoro. In order to become the world's #1 swordsman, Zoro left the gym last year and embarked on a journey of self-cultivation. However, when he came to the outside world, he realized that the world is really big, and there are many places to spend money. Therefore, catching pirates, which can not only earn travel expenses, but also hone his swordsmanship, has become a Zoro's first choice. And after being lost for days, Zoro finally came to Shell's Town. His goal today is the King of Clowns, Buggy, with a reward of 31 million Baileys. As long as Buggy can be caught, he will not have to worry about the cost of travel for a long time, and he even considers giving himself 2 more new knife. And Zoro is not the only one staring at Buggy, including Nami. Although there is no Arlong scourge of Kokoyasi village, pirates are still prevalent, and the taxes levied by the world government have become higher and higher in recent years, and the lives of the villagers have become more and more difficult. In order to help the villagers get out of the predicament, Nami started the work of robbing the rich and helping the poor, without a teacher. And the rich, like Buggy, is naturally the target of Nami's focus. In order to successfully steal Buggy's treasure, Nami has dressed up as a dealer, and has been in the casino in Shell's Town for a long time, collecting a lot of information about the Buggy pirates. These include how many guards there are every day, how many minions there are in each guard, and key issues such as when to change the guard. And when Nami saw Zoro in Shell's Town, she recognized him. After all, on East Blue, the weakest sea, anyone with a little bit of strength will become famous. Example, Colonel Monka of the 153rd branch. Although the 153rd branch was occupied by Buggy, so Monka had to take the seamen and temporarily found a small island to station outside Shell's Town, but the name of the axe Monka can still be used. Scared off many pirates. Zoro, the pirate hunter who has captured many East Blue, big, pirates, is naturally a person who can cause riots when he appears in East Blue Town. Nami made up her mind and sneaked away from the casino. Before leaving, she didn't forget to steal the casino's safe. What's about to happen in Shell's Town, the fateful encounter of the Straw Hats, Andre doesn't know. But now Andre is not interested in knowing. Because the Sea Circle calendar 1520 means a lot to him as well. During this year, both the Millennium Dragon and the Elixir Formula will appear. Although he wasn't sure whether the Elixir Formula was real, Andre wouldn't let go of any possibility. And there's not much time left for Andre for the strong fruit. In order to ensure that he can obtain the Elixir Formula, and at the same time not to let other forces notice, Andre chose to go to East Blue alone. Cloaks, masks, wigs, Andre disguised himself again after many years. And this time he came to East Blue, he was absolutely secret, except for Makino and Hancock and others. most people didn't know that Andre had actually left Sky Island. East Blue is still so peaceful. Andre paddled the sampan and walked slowly to the 8th branch. His purpose this time was naturally to catch Nelson Roy, the fat admiral of the 8th branch. But the sampan was halfway through, and the phone bug in Andre's arms was screaming in the blue. Out the phone bug. Looking at the color of the phone bug, Andre picked up the phone. Sabo, what's wrong? Nelson committed suicide, Sabo replied. What did you say? Andre stiffened, unable to react. I also just got the news. It seems that Nielsen was dismissed by Kuroba, and then a lot of problems were found out. But I guess it was Kuroba who wanted to take control of East Blue, and then killed Nielsen Leeway. Saab analyzed. Randy Orton Blackfeather, I'll kill him sooner or later. Andre clenched his fists. This incident caught him by surprise. He had sent people to stare at Nelson Roy for a while, but the stalking during this period of time, Nelson's dead fat man did not have the slightest connection with Cyclone Eric. Therefore, Andre guessed that Eric's approach to Nelson should be a temporary use. Therefore, before the plot begins, I will come to stay by Nelson's side, and then take all Eric and the Millennium Dragon away. By the way, there is another news. Kuroba applied to Sengoku and wants to clear the pirates of East Blue within a month, so there will be a large number of marine ships patrolling the sea recently. If you encounter it, try your best to avoid it. Although Sabo didn't know what Andre did in East Blue, Andre had mentioned to him that his going to East Blue must be kept secret. The less people knew about it, the better. Clean up the pirates in East Blue within a month. This Kuroba has nothing to do, right? Just take a chicken feather and use it as an arrow. Andre shook his head speechlessly. In his eyes, East Blue's pirates and marines played the game of officers and soldiers catching thieves with children. Even when Garp returned to East Blue, he only plundered those who not only looted, but also slaughtered the town. The vicious pirates who killed the island were executed. As for the other sporadic small pirates, Garp didn't even bother to take care of them. Well, anyway, you still have to be careful. Sabo repeated the reminder and ended the call. Hey, the fat guy Nelson is dead, so where should I go to squat Eric? Andre was half lying on the sampan, toothpick in his mouth, lost in thought. Meanwhile, at Logatown, Smoker has been promoted to Colonel Marine at Logatown. Originally, Smoker had already been promoted to the headquarters, but he was really going to offend people. It didn't take long for him to offend Akainu and other Hawk generals, so he was sent back to Logatown to hone his skills for a while. It's been 4 or 5 years in the blink of an eye. Other hand, Tina, who is in the same class as Smoker, has a prosperous official career. In addition, she is a woman and is well taken care of by Suru Vice Admiral in the headquarters, so she has a bright future. It's only one step away. However, it doesn't matter whether the position is high or low, no name or elite. He is very upright. As long as he can command the fleet to fight, he can be a captain. And after Kuroba came to East Blue, he saw the extraordinary qualities of Smoker, and thought he was a good person. Work hard, I will recommend you to Marshal Sengoku. Chapter 697 got a competitor. Randy Orton Kuroba is 42 years old and Smoker is 36 years old. In terms of age alone, Kuroba was not a few years older than Smoker. However, the current Kuroba, as Vice Admiral of the headquarters, preached to Smoker. To be honest, Smoker doesn't like this kind of leader, or the generals in the headquarters seem to have this problem, always wanting to guide the younger generation. And in this process, you can't contradict him, otherwise it will make him feel embarrassed. You embarrass him, and he embarrasses you. From enrolling in military school, to graduation practice, to joining Marine, Smoker has been in various, uncomfortable, along the way. And this guy just doesn't have a long memory. He will offend everyone who can't offend. So that his classmates with a little background have been promoted to the position of the Vice Admiral Commander of the branch, and Tina is even more incredible. I heard that the title of Rear Admiral will be awarded soon. But this time, Smoker decided to endure it, because he felt that Haiba was a general who liked to play official words, but what Hyoba did was really pleasing. Roy of the 8th branch, that fellow smoker has long been disliked by him. Corruption and corruption, scourge the place, is simply more hateful than pirates. However, the senior officials crushed people to death. Smoker is an upright marine, not a wanted hero. Therefore, Kuroba got rid of Nelson this time to win his inner admiration. At least Kuroba was different from someone like Nelson. Colonel Smoker, now I have appointed you to integrate the military discipline of the entire branch within 3 days. After 3 days, the fleet will set off. Follow me to exterminate the pirates of East Blue, and maintain absolute justice. Yes, Kuroba Vice Admiral. Smoker gave Kuroba a military salute, then immediately left the office, headed to the dock, and took a boat to the 8th branch. Looking at Smoker's back, Blackfeather shook his head disdainfully. Although his abilities are good, but just after EJ, this character will hurt you sooner or later. Warship Island, Andre quietly docked the ship on the shore, and then took a leap to the shore. Warship Island has not changed much in recent years. It is poor and backward, not to mention business travel, even pirates are too lazy to patronize here. But on the contrary, it is also peaceful and quiet here, which is a rare paradise in a chaotic world. After Andre went to the island, he has been hiding his whereabouts and deliberately avoided contact with the residents of the island. The purpose of this was naturally that he did not want to startle the snake, because Andre was not sure whether Eric was on the island. Bypassing the village, Andre climbed the back mountain on foot. He is now going to the dragon cave to confirm whether the dying 1,000-year-old dragon is there. Of course, with any luck, Andre would also like to meet Abyss. Is still lovable. In the dragon cave, the 1,000-year-old dragon shrunk listlessly in the cave. Fortunately, the Millennium Dragon is still there. It seems that this piece of history has not been affected. Andre breathed a sigh of relief. Since he knew that Nelson was killed by Kuroba, he was worried that the plot had been completely changed. Fortunately, the Millennium Dragon is still there, so as long as you pay close attention to the key characters Abyss and the Millennium Dragon, you can find Eric. At this time, the Millennium Dragon suddenly opened its eyes and stared at Andre with its huge eyes. For some reason, it seemed to be very afraid of Andre, and also very resistant, and suddenly shrunk into the corner, the kind of anthropomorphic fear. It's not like it's pretending. Are you afraid of me? Andre said to the Millennium Dragon with interest, like a pet. The Millennium Dragon immediately lowered his head, not daring to look directly at Andre. Interesting. Andre chuckled a few times before getting ready to leave. However, when Andre was about to leave the dragon cave, he suddenly heard a rustling sound from outside the cave. Of leaves and branches, that is to say, someone was approaching here from another road. Could it be Eric? Andre's eyes flashed coldly, then he shaves again and quickly disappeared into the cave. In the dense forest in the mountains, 6 young men in suits were using the knives in their hands to keep splitting the thorns in front of them, forcibly opening up a path. Gut, are you saying that there are really dragons here? There should be, otherwise, Lord Bogut will not specially arrange for us to investigate, and Lord Bogut wants to attack the position of the king, so it is impossible to do useless work. Well, I hope so, or I'll have to kill that mercenary named Eric when I go back. Okay, don't say it. If the Millennium Dragon really exists and the elixir of immortality is refined, then the master will reward Bogut and Eric heavily. Maybe Eric will soon become a general. Characters are much higher than yours and mine. On a big tree in the forest, Andre listened coldly to the conversation of the small group below. Bogut, who is this person? And who is the master they say? However, did they also want to compete with me for the elixir formula? Andre's eyes were filled with killing intent, but he did not act immediately, because he was thinking about whether to follow these people and find where Bogut, Eric and others are. At this moment, a small and pleasant figure of Abyss Zhao appeared on a path in the dense forest. Abyss was struggling to hold a sack, and the sack was faintly exuding fragrance. Andre knew that Abyss was going to deliver meat buns to the Millennium Dragon. Hey, it's that girl from the village, why is she here? And what is she doing with that sack? Be quiet, don't let her hear, we'll just follow her and see what she's going to do. The 6 young men immediately leaned on their waists, and under the cover of the bushes, quietly approached Abyss. Do you want to shoot? Andre hesitated. If he shoots now, he will undoubtedly be shocked, but if he doesn't shoot, the cave where the Millennium Dragon is will be exposed. But instead of exposing the location of the Millennium Dragon, it is better to silence these people. Although doing so will startle the snake, it may lead to the master behind the bogot. With a decision in his heart, Andre suddenly jumped down from under the tree trunk. Rustling tilde 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 there is a rustling sound behind the bushes. The 6 young people turned around subconsciously, but as soon as they turned around, they saw a peal of pebbles shot towards them. The bean-sized stone, wrapped in armament hockey, was thrown by Andre with terrifying arm strength, which was no less powerful than a gun that hunted large beasts. Bang bang bang. A crackling sound rang out, followed by a picture of the head bursting. Chapter 698 Burning Warship Island. Eric is a mercenary who walks between black and white all year round, but he never thought that East Blue would have such a huge organization hidden. This organization has a strict structure and covers an extremely wide area. The general manager Bogut he is in contact with now controls more than 50% of East Blue's arms trade. And Eric also learned from Bogut that their organization in East Blue was just a corner of iceberg. Master, in Bogut's mouth, it is even more mysterious and unpredictable. This made Eric a little flustered. After all, he was looking for Bogut because he wanted to use the energy of his East Marine Fire Merchant to find the Millennium Dragon. Who knew that the organization behind Bogut could be so huge? Hey, do you really want to give up the Millennium Dragon and the formula for immortality? Eric felt a conflict in his heart. Although Bogut had mentioned that as long as the Millennium Dragon and the elixir formula really existed, the two of them would be greatly rewarded by their master. Bogut also promises that, on the day it's done, Eric will be the head of East Blue. The main position of the arms trade of more than 50% of East Blue. Is this condition attractive? It would be a lie for Eric to say that he is not interested, because Bogut lives a life that is more relaxed than those kings, with hordes of beauties, wine pools and meat forests, and extremely luxurious. However, Eric wants to live forever. But in this world, you can't have both fish and bear's paw. But Eric will soon put his ambivalence on hold, because none of the 6 men Bogut sent to check on Battleship Island have yet to hear back. Someone dares to destroy my good deeds. Bogut's face was rather ugly. He was an arms dealer on the surface, but in fact, he used to be a famous bounty hunter at sea, but after surrendering to Folyawu, he was dedicated to fighting for a higher power. For example, the king level higher than the general level. Folyawuming said that once he got the world, the king-level powerhouses who followed him would definitely split the soil and become kings, live the same life as the current Tenryubito, and hold the same power as they respect. However, Bogut's strength is limited. If he wants to ascend to the throne of the king, he must have strength comparable to Admiral. At Bogut's age, wanting to improve his strength is just like Pan Changjiang's desire to grow taller, which is pure nonsense. Therefore, when Eric came to him and explained that there was an elixir of life, Bogut's mind became active. Because Folyawu has given orders in the past 2 years to search for the whereabouts of the surgical fruit at all costs, as long as the surgical fruit is found, it will be promoted to the king level. The effect of the elixir is equivalent to the immortal operation of the fruit of the operation. Therefore, Bogut wanted to dedicate the elixir of life to Folyawu. But now the plan has been half successful, but it has been interfered by outsiders, which naturally makes Bogut very upset. Lord Bogut, could they be delayed by something? Eric interjected. Impossible, they are all elite agents, and the tasks they have received have never been delayed. Bogut waved his hand impatiently, and then called his men outside the door. Send someone to Warship Island immediately, no matter what. Whoever it is, clean it up for me. Yes. the subordinate responded, and then took out the phone bug. ... Abyss has been hiding in the cave for the past 2 days to be with her Dragon Lord. Rather than being a company, it is better to hide by Dragon Lord's side and seek Dragon Lord's protection. Although Dragon Lord has Alzheimer's disease, his eyesight was not good either, but the thin and dead camel was bigger than a horse, and Abyss still felt very safe beside Long Yi. But whenever she was sleepy, a terrifying picture would appear in front of her eyes. 6 young men in black suits had their heads shot in front of her. At the moment when the brain exploded, the scene of blood and brain spurting turned into nightmare, which was deeply imprinted in Abyss' brain. However, Abyss also realized one thing, that is, Lord Long's secret may have been detected. Due to the lack of a good rest for several days, Abyss' eyelids became heavier and heavier, and she finally yawned. When she was about to fall asleep, she heard a thunderous roar from outside. Bang bang bang. The naval guns of the 2 warships fired salvos and dozens of large-caliber naval guns ruthlessly covered the warship island. After a while, the village on Warship Island was turned into a sea of fire under the artillery fire. Patriarch, Patriarch. Dad, wake up, wake up. My child, my child. The roar of the naval guns, the villagers under the flames, they were helpless and desperate, the boys sitting next to the man's corpse, crying, the woman holding the girl's corpse, the weeping woman. Soon, the fire spread, and all the pain engulfed in flames. Quick, quick, get to the island quickly. Block the island, no one can escape. Nearly 600 men dressed in black uniforms, armed with knives and guns, quickly took a speedboat and arrived at Warship Island at a speed comparable to the elite Marines of the Marine headquarters. Abyss, who witnessed all this with her own eyes, couldn't help but knelt down on the edge of the cliff, when the fire had already burned to the mountain. Why is this? Why is this? Abyss cried, tears kept pouring out of her eyes, how she wished that everything in front of her was a nightmare. After hearing Abyss cry, Lord Long, who was hiding in the cave, climbed out of the cave and lay down beside her quietly. At this time, Andre was also watching, although his eyes were shining with fire, but his face was expressionless, because he had experienced too many scenes of this kind of killing, so his heart was already numb. However, these men in black actually have the latest warships, which proves that the organization that wants to compete with him for the longevity medicine is not small. But it's too much of a joke to just send these trashy fish. Andre chuckled, quietly waiting for those armed in black to go up the mountain. I have to praise the elite level of those armed in black. It only took less than 40 minutes to rush from the beach to the middle of the mountain, less than 200 meters away from Andre and Abyss. There's a girl there, catch her. A rogue who looked like a captain felt himself flying as soon as he opened his mouth. However, he soon discovered that it was not his whole body that flew up, but that his head and neck were separated. Enemy attack. I don't know who shouted, but soon more and more people's heads flew up. Chapter 699 Accident. 2 warships, more than 600 elites, finished in one night. Not to mention the more than 600 elites, this warship costs nearly 10 billion Baileys. Although Bogut is the boss of East Blue, in the final analysis, he is just a senior working man. He also knew that everything he had now was given to him by Folyawu. Therefore, a slave who cannot make a profit for his master has no value in existence. What should I do? I will definitely be killed. Bogut panicked and frightened. He knew that the paper couldn't contain the fire. Once the matter of the night reached Folyawu's ears, his death was near. Although Eric hadn't seen Bogut since this morning until now, he learned from the woman Bogut kept in captivity that Bogut seemed to have a neuropathy this morning, locking himself in the room and seeing no one. It shouldn't happen again, but how is it possible? Eric is also confused by the second monk. To be honest, he doesn't think there is anything Bogut can settle in East Blue. Because Eric could see clearly, Bogut dispatched 2 latest warships last night. Under the current situation, that warship is a symbol of strength. Anyone who wants to dominate the sea, who doesn't want to get a few ships. And this new type of warship, Eric has never seen one in East Blue. Of course, this has to exclude Marine, because Vice Admiral Kuroba, who just arrived at East Blue's headquarters, is a new type of ironclad. Just as Eric was thinking about what happened, Bogat's door suddenly opened. I saw Bogat holding a large knife 2 meters long and the width of an adult's palm, looking like he was going to fight with others. Lord Bogat, you are... Eric just wanted to ask Bogat what he wanted to do, but Bogat had no time to answer him. Bogat figured it out. Instead of hiding in the room and waiting to die, it would be better to report the matter here to his boss, Da Vinci, the Arrow King. Naturally, he himself could not be idle, and personally led his own guards to kill the warship island, and compete with the mysterious forces entrenched on the warship island. Of course, Bogat didn't really want to work hard. He prepared with both hands. If he wins, then to Da Vinci's argument, it's a tough fight and a tough victory. On the other hand, if he loses, it is because the enemy soldiers are numerous and need more support. I believe that Da Vinci, seeing that he is loyal and fighting with blood, will also plead with full Yahoo for him. Gather everyone, let's kill Gunkanjima now. Before leaving, Bogat did not forget to convey the matter here to Da Vinci in the form of a letter, and at the same time left people optimistic about Eric. As for why the letter was used, the reason is simple, because Bogat was worried that he would lose his words and was seen through the lie by Leonardo da Vinci. But Bogat forgot that he did it and he was no different from stealing the bell. Seeing that Bogat set off murderously, Eric hesitated and did not go with him. On the battleship island, Abyss looked at Andre with a look of fear. At this time, Andre was covered in blood. Of course, the blood belonged to those men in black last night. You, hungry. Andre took out the bread from his package and handed it to Abyss. No, I'm not hungry. Abyss shook her head vigorously and pursed her lips. Aren't you hungry? Liar kid, but you're going to be spanked. Andre teased Abyss. Ooey off that, Abyss shrank beside Dragon Lord. However, Lord Long has shrunk into a ball, and he is more afraid than Abyss now. Interesting little loli. Andre raised his hand with a smile and touched Abyss' head. This trick really worked well, and Abyss, fear and nervousness were soothed a lot. Come on, eat. Andre handed the cake to Abyss. For some reason, as he got older, he loved children more and more. Of course, Andre would never admit that he was lolicon. Yeah, although Abyss was still afraid of Andre, she gradually got used to Andre's presence after continuous head-to-head killing. Quietly watching Abyss chewing on the dough, Andre handed her the water bottle. 6 days passed like this, and even though she was accompanied by a cute little loli like Abyss, Andre quickly lost her patience. Because the person he was waiting for is nowhere to be seen. It's impossible to be so cowardly. Andre felt that since those men in black could dispatch a new type of warship, their background must be not small. In general large-scale, violent gangs, there will always be many masters. Just like every large pirate group, in addition to a powerful leader, there are also many equally powerful squad leaders. Therefore, Andre concluded that the organizations behind the armed forces in black, after learning that the warship was destroyed and the soldiers were killed, would definitely dispatch more people to retaliate. However, things didn't seem to go the way Andre thought. Just that it's not that Andre's logic is wrong, it's that Bogat is too reckless, and he encountered an accident soon after going out. It turned out that when Bogat summoned his men and wanted to come to Warship Island for revenge, he accidentally encountered Kuroba, who was going to clear the pirates on the way. Bogat was carrying a big knife, and his subordinates were all dressed in black. Although he did not fly the pirate flag, he also looked like a violent gang. East Blue is jeopardized, it is the target of Kuroba's elimination. So Bogat's fleet and marine inexplicably collided. However, in addition to the 371 elites brought from the headquarters, all of Kuroba's subordinates were stationed in Logatown and marine from the 8th branch. Especially the 8th Fleet, under the illustrious leadership of former Governor Nelson Roy, its combat effectiveness is not too bad. Although there is Smoker to supervise the battle, but fighting with those elite soldiers under Bogat's command is simply unilateral abuse. Fortunately, Blackfeather couldn't stand it anymore, and showed his strength comparable to Admiral, which defeated Bogat's fleet, but the fleet he brought out also suffered heavy casualties. Bogat, whose shoulder blade was shattered by Heiyu's punch, no longer dared to take people to the sea rashly and go to Warship Island to find trouble. He could only wait for Da Vinci to come to East Blue before arranging countermeasures. But what really surprised Kuroba was not the mysterious armed force of Bogat, but Buggy, the king of clowns entrenched in Shell's town, who was actually defeated by Straw Hat pirates, whom he had never heard of. Chapter 700 Slippery Dragon. Boss, today's newspaper. Reiki Lu, as usual, held the barbecue in one hand and the newspaper in the other. Before he swallowed the meat, he vaguely handed the newspaper to Shanks. Shanks hadn't woken up at this time, and was in a daze, so he asked Bambeck on the side to read the newspaper and see what was going on in the world today. Yasop et al., on the other hand, listened attentively like loyal listeners. Obviously, it is not the first time that Bambeck has read the newspaper. Cough cough tilde tilde, Bambeck cleared his throat, like an orator, and began to read the front page of the newspaper. However, the headlines of today's newspapers are still dominated by Lucas Bolsky, and the content is basically how Lucas persecuted the people of West Blue, is an out-and-out brutal dictator and so on. Since Lucas forcibly annexed the West Blue industry, mining, etc., the newspaper has never stopped scolding him, portraying him as a demon who eats 10 children a day, and as heinous and worthy of death. And because of Lucas, Andre had to give him the headlines. It's just that the news is being promoted every day, so Bambeck can see what's going on after reading the beginning, and Shanks and other listeners are almost hearing the cocoon in their ears. Stop reading, it's all about Lucas's news every day, I'm tired of listening to it. Shanks muttered impatiently, then turned over and wanted to go back to sleep. Was out of interest, and Yasop, Lackey Lou and others also went their separate ways. Bambeck also felt bored, so he casually flipped through the pages of the newspaper, looking for some interesting anecdotes about gossip and lace. But when he saw the news of the King of Clowns Buggy was defeated by the Straw Hat Pirates, he subconsciously stopped his eyes on the news. Going to stare. Boss, something big happened, Bambeck said, pushing Shanks' shoulders. What happened? What a fuss. Shanks yawned, but he still didn't open his eyes. Boss, look, it's Luffy. Bambeck put the newspaper over Shanks' face. What did you say? News from Luffy. Shanks rolled over and sat up instantly, because he remembered that Luffy had said that he would go out to sea as a pirate after his 17th birthday. And count the days, now Luffy has just celebrated his birthday a few days, how can he be in the newspaper? Shanks, who was in shock, quickly picked up the newspaper. The King of Clowns was defeated by the Straw Hat Pirates. Buggy got beat by Luffy. Is this TM kidding? Shanks' mouth was wide open, showing how surprised he was in his heart. He knew how strong Buggy was. Back then, he fought alongside Buggy, not only fought with Andre, but even challenged Whitebeard. Although both of them were defeated in the end, the strength that Buggy showed at that time was not what Luffy in his impression could defeat. What's more, as time flies, Buggy's strength cannot stay where he is in 20 years. Even if he is not as good as him, he should still be comparable to Admiral. At worst, it can be close to Admiral's level. So Shanks really couldn't figure out how that guy Luffy beat Buggy. Although the newspaper mentioned that Buggy was defeated by the Straw Hat group, including the Straw Hat Luffy, the bounty hunter Zoro, and the little thief cat Nami. But who are Zoro and Nami? I'm sorry, Shanks has never heard the names of these two people. It is estimated that, like Luffy, they are both little people who are active in East Blue. Boss, do you think Andre's guy is behind this? He didn't have any peace of mind when he let Luffy appear in Hao Cheng's field of vision. Reiki Lu had no good feelings for Andre at all, so in his opinion, come on, it's Andre's fault for everything. Could it be Andre who did it? But hasn't he been busy solving the giant soldier's plan? Shanks felt that Andre shouldn't be so bad, although he did cheat Luffy, but now the attention of the 4 emperors and 1 emperor, the power is entirely on the giant soldier plan. Boss, no matter what, Kid Luffy is famous this time, and I heard that Black Fist Black Feather is in East Blue recently, so I'm afraid he will target Kid Luffy. Bambeck took a deep breath and said with a worried look. Right now, I can only rely on him to get through the difficulties. Shanks shook his head helplessly. Although he is the 4th emperor of the New World, his influence is far less than that of Andre. If Andre wanted to protect someone, all he had to do was open his mouth and move his lips, and he could get all the forces to back down. After all, no one wants to fight that lunatic Andre, especially the tempered Marine and the world government. Now Marine and the world government don't dare to fight with Team Zero at all, and Andre has taken over the Kansas battleship in the past 2 years. A comprehensive change for the Whitebeard pirates. It makes the maritime hegemony more stable, and no one dares to touch its edge. When Luffy's name officially appeared in Hao Chang's eyes, Andre was paddling a huge raft, drifting at sea. The reason for leaving the battleship island is also very simple, because Andre didn't want to wait on the battleship island, so he came out with the Millennium Dragon, perhaps to stimulate the competitors. Sneeze. Andre sneezed heavily, and after sniffing, he could not help whispering, "Who is Hey Lousy?" "Uncle, where are we going?" Sitting next to Lord Long, Abyss asked cautiously. "Wander around and go wherever the wind blows," Andre answered while unwinding the sail. Oh, Abyss was silent when she got the answer. At this time, a news bird flew over the sea at a low altitude. Andre whistled at the news bird, and the news bird flew over immediately and threw a newspaper for Andre. This headline is from Lucas again. "This guy is so hateful, I'm afraid he will die." Andre spit out, and then turned the newspaper down. He wanted to see if there was any news about his apprentice Kid. Because a month ago, his lovely apprentice Kid officially entered the Great Route. However, Kid is also considered to be possessed by Wong Feng. The big news that he went overseas was actually grabbed the headlines by Lucas, so that Andre could only find news about Kid in a certain corner of the newspaper. But when Andre turned to the page where the King of Clowns was defeated by the Straw Hat Pirates, his eyes narrowed. Anyone who knows Andre knows that when he shows this expression, it is definitely going to cheat people.